Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 340. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, Wing Doodle.
Fun enough, we got comics about volcanoes this week. Connor's just returned from a volcano. He's also back on the show for the first time in like a month and a half or whatever long it's been.
About a month, actually.
Oh, it's about a month, okay.
Yeah, I did one about a month ago.
Oh well, you've returned.
Yeah,
Do you have any grand statements to make?
Work's still shit. Yeah.
life lessons that one has learned along the way.
So how are the hot dogs? How are the hot dogs in Iceland?
It's really good.
Yeah. So
wait, they're like everywhere. No, they have a thing for hot dogs, but they're like they're made out of lamb instead of pork.
Yeah.
I've never heard that Iceland was known for hot dogs.
No,
this is surprising to me.
Everywhere.
Yeah, the only reason I know this is one of the shows I listened to. One of the hosts just got back from like 2 weeks in Iceland, and I've been waiting for Connor to be on to ask him about like how good the hot dogs are.
You get out of the airport, you're still in the airport. You know, you collect your luggage, you go through, and even before you've left, it's like there's a hot dog stand.
Question, and this is my ignorance of Iceland showing here, perhaps, but I'm imagining you getting out of the airport and you're just getting like a small village because Iceland doesn't have cities. Is that accurate?
I mean,
Reykjavik's a city, right?
Reykjavik's a city, yes.
Yeah.
It's the only proper
big city.
Yeah,
because the population is very low in Iceland.
Yeah,
it is. Yes. I would say you're kind of in the middle of nowhere with the airport, but in my experience, that's most airports.
Yeah.
Most major airports outside the UK are the ones I've been to. I can't speak for the US, but you know, outside the UK, all the major ones I've been to.
Oh no,
in the middle of nowhere.
LAX is in the middle of just everything.
Right. That's what
but it wasn't.
The US and UK are kind of the outliers in this. All the ones I've been to in Europe and all of Europe, Turkey,
that's because they got
Iceland now. Like they're all just in the middle of nowhere.
They've got space though.
You tend to have to you tend to have to drive like a good 40 minutes to an hour till you're in like a city from any other major airport I've been to, in Europe.
Interesting.
So the thing with LAX and like the one here in Vegas is they originally were on like they were far out, and then as the city got bigger, now they're kind of wedged in amongst everything. So, but when you look at LAX, that's why there's a bunch of satellite airports, you know, around that area that you could also fly into if you don't want to deal with it. You know, I don't know about international, but you know, domestic, you can. So, that helps a lot with that.
Yeah, there's two main international terminals at LAX.
Yeah.
I was in Dublin Airport briefly, but I never went outside, so I don't know what was around it.
But yeah, so I had to ask Connor about the hot dogs in Iceland, see if they really are, because
they're everywhere and they're pretty good. Like, as standard, they come like with onions and then raw and fried. Ketchup, mustard, and mayo. As just obviously you can ask for without things, but it's a different mayo to what you're thinking of. It's not. It's like yellow.
I don't care. I don't care.
Like
all mayo is disgusting. I don't care. It's all awful.
It's more like it's like a Dijon mayo from what I've heard.
The question I have is how many vowels were in their word for hot dog?
Yeah.
Too many.
Yeah.
Two. I was expecting not enough. I was expecting lots of consonants.
No, they have lots of vowels in there as well. Like, it's a strange language.
It is.
Yes.
Well, it is, but also there's good chunks of it that are reasonably recognizable.
Yeah.
Because they had such, between them and obviously their language is basically.
So offshoot of Danish, right?
Yeah, and then the Danish brought a lot of that over to England,
right?
Especially the north of England. So there's like a lot of cross pollination that there's just enough that you can recognize certain things.
Okay. Well, this is DC Comics Podcast. We get together, we talk about DC Comics every week. We have a huge list of books to talk about this week and solicits for, well, I think it's April. I never actually checked, but I'm sure it's April. So coming up on today's show, we have Nightwing issue 100, Batman One Bad Day Bane, Flash 791, Lazarus Planet Assault on Krypton issue 1, Batman Superman World's Finest issue 11, The New Champion of Shazam issue 4, Stargirl The Lost Children issue 3, Matt read Monkey Prince issue 10. I assume Connor read GCPD The Blue Wall issue 4.
I did.
And then Connor's got 2 Patreon books because he's not been here, so he's he's got something to do. So he's got 2 of those. Yeah. So that is the plan for today's festivities. But not to worry, even though the list is huge, there's always time for a ComiXology top 10.
Is there though?
There is. If I tried to pretend that there wasn't a couple of weeks ago, and Matt just no sold
me. A couple
me.
weeks, it was last week.
Was it last week? I don't know. Time's a flat circle, Matt. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, Matt.
But he wouldn't accept it. He just said, let's get it over with. Don't pretend we're not doing it.
I've learned, unless Connor's here to help me derail, me doing it by myself just makes things go longer. So,
that's true, even if you're both here.
Yeah, but at least it's more fun, you know? Because then you have two people that are upsetting you instead of just one. So,
twice the misery.
Your misery fuels me, so I don't know what you're getting at. So, yes, as per usual, we have the books separated by Tuesday releases and Wednesday releases. So we'll look at Tuesday first, since that's the DCD. These are the rankings on ComiXology as per how many have sold up until now, which is Saturday at the time of recording. So, Matt, Connor, what do you think number one is from DC this week?
Since Connor hasn't been here, I will give him the...
Too generous.
Give him the honors. Yes. Did his mic die?
He's went muted. That's happened last time.
All right, I would say Nightwing 100.
Nightwing 100 is the correct answer. I bet Connor got it wrong, and even if he says he didn't, I won't believe him. I heard no evidence to the contrary. Oh, there's a complete range of expressions happening on his face as he's trying to figure out. Oh, there you go. There you are.
It switched my mic automatically for some reason. Skype to one on my headset.
What, mid-call?
Yep, it just decided to switch to the one on the headset because Skype, which the one on the headset is muted because I always leave that muted.
Of course.
So that's why nothing happened. I guess Nightwing, god damn it.
There's no evidence of that. So
I thought you were just sitting there in silence as a bit, and then I saw your mouth moving, but nothing was coming out.
So, someone do some lip reading and see the video evidence that I said Nightwing 100. I said, well, there's no Batman this week, so I guess Nightwing.
Sounds like this is a bit fabricated to me. Number 2 is Lazarus Planet, Assault on Arkham. So
Assault on Arkham, Assault on Krypton.
Assault on Krypton. Sorry, it's because Assault on Arkham's a movie. That was a thing.
Yeah,
that was a Suicide Squad. Basically.
Yeah. But I remember it being a thing. So it's in there. Then number 3 is World's Finest. So that's still doing well. Number 4 is Batman One Bad Day, which for an $8 book, not too shabby. Number 5 is Stargirl and the Lost Children. So also doing well. I guess John still has some name value with the DC fans. Number 6 is The Flash, issue 791. So, not bad. Then we have Batman Fortress, issue 8 at number 7, which, I forget this is still going. I guess this is a 12-issue thing.
Yes.
I thought it was 8, but...
Maybe it is 8, I don't know. So it's...
Oh, look.
Oh, no, it is 8. It says shocking conclusion on the cover. There we go.
There you go.
It's done. I have no ill will towards Gary Whitta, but his comic book is trash.
Can confirm.
Number 8 is the new champion Shazam, issue 4. Number 9 is Black Adam, issue 7. And number 10 is Batgirls 14. With Monkey Prince just missing the top 10, as well as Fables 157, which was out this week. So, cool. Nothing too eventful. Nightwing's the expected number 1. I'd say Lazarus Planet's doing a little bit better than I thought, just because it feels like a sort of throwaway event as opposed to an actual big event. But
also, I felt like I missed something with that first issue last week, right?
Did you read
Batman versus Robin?
I did. I read the 4 issues, and then I read that, and I still felt like I was missing something in between.
Uh-oh.
If you'd asked me this last week, I might have, but I've forgotten it now until I read the Omega issue.
That is fair. But I was just like, is that it? I don't know.
So yeah, that's the DC books. And then Wednesday's books. Anyone care to guess what number 1 from Wednesday is?
I'm looking.
Let me see what was out.
I'm gonna guess Immortal X-Men 10.
It is, but I thought maybe you'll fall for the trap because it's not the only X book. Because number 2 is Dark Web X-Men issue 3.
To be honest, I just saw that it was Dark Web, and I didn't see it was an X book until you had said that. So
I see.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Avengers Forever, issue 13, which is by Jason Aaron and Aaron Kuder, the Aarons, if you will. Which they just announced a new Avengers team, right? That's coming up in a few months. I saw it on Twitter.
They did, yes.
Mackay, I would say.
Jed.
Yep.
There you go, that's the one. So Aaron's finally finishing up, it seems like. So, but he's been on it a while. He's been on that since what?
Years.
It was close to the start of Rebirth sort of time period, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something in that range. Invincible Iron Man issue 2 is number 4. Number 5 is Punisher issue 9 of 12. Also Jason Aaron, that one. Number 6 is Strange issue 10 by the aforementioned Jed Mackay. Number 7 is Wasp issue 1 of 4 by Al Ewing, which means it's probably worth reading.
He just did an Ant-Man mini as well, so it probably follows on from that, maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love those covers, though. Those pop art.
The really bold colors.
Yeah. It's it's just kind of a. I feel like this is what they do when they want to evoke Silver Age, even though it doesn't actually look actual Silver Age, but it evokes Silver Age in a modern style.
Mid-century pop art, kind of. Yeah.
And then you got Hulk 11 at number 8, and then number 9 is Venom issue 15, which is by Ram V. And then number 10, our only non-Marvel book in the top 10 from Wednesday. Would anyone care to guess?
Future?
It's not.
Damn it. It's fun.
Any other guesses to what the only non-Marvel book is in the top 10?
I'm looking for anything that's notable. That would look like a
House
top
of Slaughter.
seller.
Nope.
No, okay. I mean, he sells books, so it wasn't.
Let's go 136.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit there. What was the title of that?
Ninja Turtles 136.
No, it's just relatively high, as is the Power Rangers book. No, the actual number 10 is Sonic the Hedgehog Scrapnik Island issue 4.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna do what I did last week and count how long on League of Comic Geeks before I finally see that.
Oh, it's low. I'm scrolling.
Far down. I'd expect, yes.
Things above it include Maniac of New York. Don't call it a comeback. Issue 1.
Patrick Todd, 10 rows.
Here's my theory.
10 rows.
Here's my theory on this. There's a dedicated select of Sonic the Hedgehog fans who only buy Sonic the Hedgehog comics who will never go to League of Comic Geeks. And that's why there's a discrepancy here between ComiXology sales and that website.
League of Comic Geeks, because even I don't use it as for a pull feature. Like, I just look at it.
That's true.
And we're in the the more dedicated end of the spectrum, when it comes to this sort of stuff. So I imagine there's tons of people who buy all sorts that would never log on League of Comic Geeks.
Yeah. So it's right in between. There's something wrong with Patrick Todd and Shirtless Bear Fighter 2 number 6, which
your favorite new book.
Well, no, I already read the first. I had the first one in singles. I was waiting for this to be released in trades. So, but yeah, that's how far down.
I feel like Matt's getting a lot of Bear media. He's got this comic book, Cocaine Bears, coming out soon. There's a lot of Bear multimedia for Matt in the works here. I'm noticing.
Man, I hope Cocaine Bear is good. That's all.
I mean, I'm not expecting great things from it necessarily.
No, as long as it's fun,
Yes,
that's all. I just need to be dumb and fun. So
of course, I hope it's entertaining. But
yes, so that's what I mean by good. I don't think it's going to be nominated for a lot of things, except like the most awesome movie of the year. But
God, you sound like someone who like the MTV Movie Awards, most awesome movie of the year, best kiss. There's no best director award. That's a silly idea, but best kiss.
Let me just say, when I was younger, the MTV Movie Awards had more cachet with me than the Academy Awards, and by younger I mean in my 20s.
Because you were an idiot.
I thought you were going to say like early teens at most.
No, once Twilight started to get nominated for stuff, I was out.
I think this is why the drinking age is 21 in America, Connor.
Yeah, they can't be trusted.
No, not at all.
Oh dear.
It's fine though. They buy guns at 18, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Again, can't be trusted to buy alcohol, but a firearm, you got it.
I mean, I suppose you shouldn't mix the two. I would argue they should be swapped around, but whatever.
You guys realize that we had such a problem that there's a federal bureau that regulates it, right? the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
I'm familiar. I've seen Thank You for Smoking. I recall.
Yeah. So
that entity.
Yep. I actually don't know what they do, and I'm pretty in because I don't know if they're like the military wing of the FDA. I'm not even sure what the ATF actually does, but I just know they exist, and it cracks me up. So I don't think any other country has a federal bureau for that stuff. Yeah, you have a national health institute, but we got a bureau of firearms, tobacco, and alcohol. So
do they regulate them, or do they just enjoy them?
Yeah, when I say regulate, I mean like the ATF gets involved in like when there's like large weapon caches. So like during Waco, ATF was involved. I don't know how much about. I know they made a miniseries about it. I'm not sure how much you guys know about that, but there was a cult that was hoarding weapons.
Well,
and they were deemed a threat. So.
As someone who does the TV news every week, I remember talking about it existing. I never watched the show.
Yeah, but yeah, so like the ATF was involved in there, and like Ruby Ridge, and anytime there's like any kind of standoff with people with a lot of weapons, they show up. So I don't know how much they do with alcohol. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm willing to bet they came about during Prohibition, and that's why they were the ones that were out there busting up barrels. And
yeah. It's a cool acronym. Just keep it.
Yes, exactly. So now that I think about it, but yes. But Cocaine Bear seems like the ATF's arch nemesis, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I never really thought about it. But was Prohibition just an American thing?
I think so.
Was there anywhere else that took part of it? I don't know.
I think various countries have had their own.
Yeah. Well,
Prohibition.
When I watched this was a few weeks ago, but when I watched Banshees of Inisherin, like I had this reaction as the movie was going on. I'm like, oh, there was a Irish Civil War in the 1920s. Okay, that's just to me. Good to know.
Yeah, only the 1920s.
Yeah, went on quite a while, right?
Yeah, definitely didn't end in the 90s.
No. There's a whole era called the Troubles.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There definitely isn't the famous, Good Friday Agreement in the mid-90s that actually ended it.
Never heard of it. But what I do know...
Yeah, neither did Boris Johnson.
Yeah, but I'm not Prime Minister, so I don't need to know it.
Thankfully.
Thankfully, neither is he anymore.
Well, that's a good fight, yes. He's not even the last Prime Minister. We've went through a whole other one.
Oh, shit, we did. I forgot about Trump. She lasted a whole 3 weeks. I forgot.
Yeah, there was that whole cabbage thing. What will last longer? Her reign
It was like right as the Queen died. She had that 3 weeks there, and that was it.
Oh, dear. Anyway, what was
we talking about now?
Oh, yeah. Banshees of Inisherin is a gritty new remake of Father Ted, is how I like to look at it. But what? It's an island off the coast of Ireland.
Yeah.
Every time
I need to see it.
Every time it went to an aerial shot of the island, all I could hear in my head was down, 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 down. That's not getting these jokes, but it's okay. What was that? Sorry.
Did it not ruin the movie a bit for you?
No, because it was very funny anyway. Like, it's darkly quite funny.
Right, but still, like that's not intentionally that's funny. This is just you projecting.
True. Look, it's not my fault that there was such a good Irish TV show in the 90s that every time Ireland comes up, the first thing that comes into my head is kicking Bishop Brennan up the arse, right? That's not my fault. Okay? Matt is so alienated right now.
I mean, I'm used to this type of stuff. That's fine.
You should watch Father Ted, Matt. You should watch Father Ted.
You've told me about Father Ted. That's why I'm not. When you said alienated, there's no ill will. Y'all talk about your Irish show. It's fine.
Oh dear. Yes. Okay. So. I
was gonna tell you guys. I think I'm starting a letterbox because I'm having a hard time remembering things that I've seen. And I think I'm gonna give in. And next time I have to work overtime, I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Just sit
there and do the letterbox stuff. So yeah, because there was this thing going around, like 4 movies of the last 10 years that you think are masterpieces, right? And I've seen a lot of movies.
Some questionable choices on some people's of those.
Yeah. Right.
Are you insinuating mine, Connor?
I didn't see yours.
Okay, fair enough.
Are you insinuating mine?
No.
Okay.
It might have been whoever's you retweeted though. To share it
yeah. Well,
actually, you might have had one questionable one.
What?
Correct me if I'm wrong. You had Civil War on it.
No, I had Winter Soldier.
Oh, Winter Soldier. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's not questionable.
Yes,
masterpiece level. Come on, like questionable.
All the movies in the last decade.
Don't get me wrong. I'm thankful that Kong Skull Island wasn't in the 4 because it really it could have been, knowing Matt.
It almost was, and then I was like, no, I can't be a self-parody that much. Also, it's not a masterpiece per se, but
Winter Soldier is.
I think so. I think it is my favorite of the Marvel movies. Therefore, in my eyes, it's a masterpiece.
I mean, what you do is because you can just sort of rate things to say you've seen them, so it counts as. So that means when you look at a list of any kind, it'll grey out the ones that you've already seen, which is really handy. But you can just do diary entries, as in you put in the date you watch something for just new things you watch, and
right. So like, I was just having a problem remembering what movies I saw in what year, So like trying to come up with stuff.
Oh sure,
on command. I was like, if only I had a list.
But able to filter and just sort of like go to like say
sort of catalog,
like cause sometimes when I watch a movie, I'll just go to Letterboxd, I'll pick a decade, I'll pick a genre, and it'll sort them by most popular. So it's like, okay, so what's the most popular action movie that I've not seen from the 70s? And it'll be like, oh, here's it tells me,
Yeah. So. Well, then it also had the issue where time is not passing properly, and stuff like Inception felt like it came out 10 years ago.
13 years old now.
Yep, I know. Or
yeah.
Yep. Yep. So, or something like Whiplash that felt like it came out like a couple years ago. That man has made 3 movies since that movie came out. So
I think his new movie like panned.
Yeah, I do need to see it, but it did not get a favorable release. It opened against Avatar.
Yeah, I went to see Megan for Streams this past week. And they actively made me not like. I mean, I didn't really want to see Babylon anyway, but Babylon has a sponsorship with like a couple of different companies that work with the cinemas for their advertising. So there was like 2 mini trailers for it, and then the full trailer played during the trailer section. So by the time I got to that 3rd trailer, I'm like, you've made me never want to see this. Like, I'm mad at you now. I'm mad at you, movie.
Yeah. Beating you over the head with it's not much. I've heard one of the film podcasts I listened to. One of the hosts really liked it, just because it's it's commenting on the movie industry while being a part of the movie industry in a very clever way. So, I mean, I'm going to watch it once it comes out. Like, I'd love to see it in theaters, but it's not showing anywhere here. Like, it was here and gone. So, but I am seeing Megan later today after we record. So, I'm very excited.
Why you see Avatar, Matt?
That's a great question.
You need to see
I would have seen it if I haven't had to work overtime.
Yeah, you need to see it while it's still on the big IMAX screens and whatnot.
Yep, I know. Connor, have you seen Avatar?
Of course he's not.
I have no plans to ever watch Avatar.
By the way, did you see like one of the 2 movie theaters in Iceland when you were there? Oh, dang. Because when this guy was there, the only movie they were showing, and it was closed, but the only movie they were showing was The Northman. Which...
Respectable.
Yeah,
probably because it was shot down the street.
Yeah, right.
No, I didn't even see where the cinema was. No,
it was there was one in Reykjavik, right where they were staying, and because he wanted to go, like, if he can go see a movie in Iceland.
I might have gone near. It's a smaller city than I'm used to.
Yeah, but yeah. So I was just gonna ask if they were showing Avatar when you'd went, because he was there in November-ish. So
possibly. I mean, we're crossing 2 billion in the next day or 2, so I assume Iceland contributed to that a little bit.
Yeah, with all 300,000 of them in the country.
Yes,
I'm sure they all saw it though. Like,
yeah.
Totally.
The Na'vi are huge in Iceland.
I just wait because the next one's going to have like volcano like part of the planet in it, so I'm sure it's going to be big in Iceland. The next one, because it'll be very close to their hearts.
Yes.
All right. Well, I suppose we'll get into the solicits then.
Just when we started.
I love how we've done like 10 minutes of small talk, even though we know there's a lot of books and solicits, because...
Yeah, I'm just going to tip my hand a little bit. I don't have a lot to say about a lot of the books.
Every time
I have a lot to say about a couple of them.
Every time you say that, it always ends up being just as normal, if not a longer episode.
I'll tell you, I got some good takes about 3 books.
What's so wild about this is it's not just that Matt's lying. That would be one thing, but he's lying to himself. That's the part that really...
He believes it,
yeah. That's the part that really sticks out. So, looking through the solicits for Oh, is it May solicits?
No, it's April.
No, it's April.
Oh, no, okay, sorry. It's just because the first one is a May release book because it's the free comic book day thingamajig. Dawn of DC 2023 free comic book day special edition.
Yep.
So yeah, they're just advanced soliciting this a little bit, which is why I was questioning it. But yeah, as per usual, I assume this will have multiple short stories teasing things that are coming up.
I mean,
across the board.
Wait. They don't have anybody.
This one doesn't seem to be like much in the story way. It just has all new original story plus sneak peeks at upcoming titles. I'll have one short story.
I bet that short story though is relevant to like an event or something. They're just not telling us about it yet.
Maybe.
They'll probably it'll turn out to be like the lead into the big summer event when they're ready to reveal it. But yeah, on to the more juicy stuff. We got Green Arrow issue 1, Josh WIliamson with art by Sean Isaacs, I'm gonna say.
Close enough.
Yeah. That's a fun cover with the blank white space and
that's the variant though.
Yeah,
right? That's Frank Cho cover.
Yeah, and the Green Arrow cover is good too, but it's just a nice design. But
I like the group shot cover. WIliamson tweeted that a couple weeks ago. That's real fun because he's indicating this is the characters that he's going to be playing with. So to see them all there is nice.
I'm sure I said this before, but it is kind of a shame that like Green Arrow can't just get an ongoing. It has to be a 6-issue mini that may get extended. But you know, it's the world we're in now.
This is a really rough period for me in terms of like the current new DC slate that's outside of the Superman line, which seems to be separate, but like WIliamson seems to be kind of everywhere in terms of spearheading a lot of stuff, and I'm really not loving a lot of WIliamson stuff lately, so it's kind of a bit unfortunate for me.
Yeah, well, he's not on that much. Like once we get to this time, we'll be on Superman and Green Arrow. Is he on anything else?
No,
I just mean in terms of like obviously he's doing the he's just done the event. He still feels like he's like one of the creative driving forces behind a lot of the stuff, even if he's not writing tons of books.
Yeah. Obviously did the Bane one shot this week, but he's basically not on any ongoings right now for a couple of months until his new stuff starts up. Superman's next month, and then Green Arrow obviously is in April. And then we got Superboy, The Man of Tomorrow, issue 1. This is written by Kenny Porter, art by Janoy Lindsay. This is the Connor Kent book that was revealed previously.
This is the round robin winner.
Yeah.
And looking at it, at the solicit, I should probably read a wiki recap of Dark Crisis and just see what I missed at the end, shouldn't I?
That probably, because I mean, it starts by saying after the events of Dark Crisis, Connor feels out of place.
And I'm like,
then again, he was out of place before Dark Crisis, so they don't really need to put that.
True.
You know. So
I mean, there's some truth to that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Then you got Adventures of Superman, John Kent issue 2. Obviously, this is Tom Taylor doing his 6-issue mini that's kind of ending his John Kent series. So yeah, not much to add really. Obviously, there was a little bit of
back Val-Zod from his Earth 2 stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Which they revealed already, right? That was in the last issue.
That was in the last solicit. So I wasn't here for that.
Yeah. I just thought it was cool. But,
No, it's very exciting.
So that's neat. We got Superman issue 3. Of course, WIliamson continue his run. We have Action Comics 1054. Obviously, all the super books here together. That's a very nice action cover, though, I've got to say. Superman's fist coming through, some Metallo-esque parts.
It almost looks like an alternate cover for Terminator. You know? Like, this could represent John Connor.
It's got that... it's Steve Beach that's done this cover, but it's got that very... if you told me that was Alex Ross, I wouldn't have argued by you too much.
I can see that, yeah. Especially like his some of the more recent covers he's done.
Yeah. So very nice stuff. Actually, the other cover's quite nice as well. It's not as good as the main one, but
no,
it's just still really nice.
It's real nice.
And then Harley Quinn issue 29 coming out. Unstoppable Doom Patrol issue 2. That's right, one of the new books coming out of this whole new initiative is a new Doom Patrol mini-series by Dennis Culver. Kind of excited to check this out. I hope it's good. I would like a good Doom Patrol book to read.
Yeah.
We got Batman issue 134. Mora Chips run. So, very...
Who is this guy?
I don't know. Is this a new character?
Red Mask. That's Red Mask who we ran into in the last issue.
I see.
But he looks different on this cover. There's more of an Red Skull meets Owl. Who's the Owl guy. Was it
Owlman?
just Owlman? I thought there was another one.
Are you thinking Night Owl from Watchmen?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I think it might be with the bulbous eyes.
Yeah. So
that second cover with Batman on the roof looks really nice with all the extra shadow.
That is nice.
Oh yeah,
it's very good. Is that the Crusader cover or the Madoncha cover?
I don't know. I'm looking at I just looked at the signature, and I can't tell.
Don't recognize it either. Weird.
That might be the Quesada.
Yeah.
It is. It's Quesada. I see his signature now.
All right. Cool.
It's a big circle. That makes a Q.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. We got Detective Comics 1071, more around V's run,
and Federici on art for the next part, which for me is like, we had Ivan Reis, which is never bad, but it tends to not be like my favorite. It doesn't stand out for me.
Well, we had a wild Federici last week, which we didn't see coming, and it was like, this is a pleasant surprise.
I opened the book and I was like, ooh, Federici, because I hadn't looked ahead. And I was like, just immediately, it's like, I know who this is. This is nice.
Oh my god! Also, this backup couldn't be more for Connor if it tried.
Spurrier and Wingard. I mean, I think that was the team that did Homesick Pilots, which was a great book from Image.
You meant the creator, because when you said that, I immediately looked at the description to see what the backup was about.
Oh yeah, the creators.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so where we got Batman and Joker Deadly Duel issue 6, which is the penultimate issue. It's a 7-issue miniseries. I have to mention it's still Matt. It's not like any of us are reading it anyway. I just mentioned it and we're moving on.
That's why I yelled skip.
We got the Riddler Year 1 issue 4.
Skip.
That too.
Shut up. We got Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods issue 3. So this is the sort of, so there's a few Lazarus Planet books that are kind of going beyond the 2 months period where most of the books are coming out. There's like some aftermath books. But this has got WIliamson, Becky Cloonan, and Michael W. Conrad on the writing team.
It's interesting because that's the current and the past Wonder Woman teams.
Yeah.
Well, and with the way that the Shazam book ended this week, it said check out Revenge of the Gods. So
it did,
yeah. So
seems like this is a lot of important type stuff is going to happen here for those characters.
I would like to continue reading Shazam characters, so I hope this is good.
Yeah,
I would hope. Then we got Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods issue 4, also solicited here. So that bad boy's double show. I assume the last 2 were as well. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
Then we have Superman.
Kill 'Em March covers are not too good for me.
Yeah, but you have the very anime Simone DeMeo cover afterwards, which I really like. But
and then the Cho cover.
I mean, as far as anime style covers go, I like that more than a lot of the other sort of more like kiddie anime ones.
Yeah,
but it's degrees of taste and all that. Then we got Superman Lost issue 2. This is the Christopher Priest Superman 10-issue series that was announced for the previous month.
Extremely looking forward to this one.
I'm very intrigued by it. It's a very interesting. As much as like there's certain characters that I would wish to get more ongoings, I do like sort of more prestige, like 10 and 12 issue books that, obviously Tom King's the one doing a lot of them, but you're getting these other examples coming out.
And just, Priest and Pagulayan are a great team. If you look through the variants, there's Superman in like a white outsuit, which is very reminiscent of the Deathstroke suit that he had during that Priest run.
Oh, sure, yeah. We got DC Speechless issue 1, which is written and drawn by Gustavo Duarte, which brings a style of humor to the DC universe in 6 short stories featuring funny moments in your favorite superheroes' lives. Where does Harley buy her mallets? What happens to Superman's radioactive clothes? What's a day off for Cyborg? Be sure to check out this entirely silent comic. So this is, it's got a bit of a gimmick to it.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $6. It's 56 pages. So it's interesting. It's an anthology all by one creator who's doing both the writing and the art.
Yeah, it seems like it's in a cartoony style.
Yeah. That's intriguing. Then we got Icon versus Hardware issue 3, which is a very nice cover actually. Then we have Static Shadows of Dakota issue 3, more of the Maelstone stuff. And then we have the Sandman Universe Nightmare Country, The Glass House issue 1. This is James Tynion IV writing this bad boy, with Alessandro Estherin on the art.
Which is the same team as the current
Nightmare
Country book.
So that's just their
sequel.
Sequel, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Makes
I might have to get caught up now.
Sequel mini, so yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah. On that subject, did you finish Nice House in the Lake, Connor?
No, not yet. I've got basically once I knew I was getting to the end, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna wait. So I had like I have 3 issues to go, and I know because I know the last issue comes out on Infinite in like a week's time. So I was like, I'm just gonna wait and do all 3 issues in one sitting.
All I will say, no spoilers of any kind. I'll just say that both me and Matt, when we got to the end of that last issue, went, "Oh, James, you sly bastard." Was the reaction?
Did not realize there was going to be a werewolf book the whole time.
I'm just glad it seems to have stuck the landing more than the reactions I glimpsed from DC Vampires, at which point I still haven't finished that yet, because I look at it and go,
To be fair, we discussed that too, that it felt like a book of 2 halves.
Yeah, the entire last half was
the half on the other half.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, last half was not good. Before we get back to more single issues, I'd like to highlight some of the collections around about here. We have Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, the hardcover coming out of the event. Straightforward enough. Collects Justice League 75, as well as issue 0, plus obviously 1 through 7. So, relatively complete. Tales from Dark Crisis, which I'm just going to assume without looking is all the tie-in one-shots that they did.
It is, yeah.
So that makes sense. And then Dark Crisis Worlds Without a Justice League, again, probably self-explanatory. It's all those Worlds Without a Justice League one-shots that they did.
Yeah.
Shockingly, yeah.
Yeah, so all straightforward. And then Dark Crisis Young Justice is the miniseries they did that tied into the event. So all this makes sense.
I actually read, I have 1 issue left of this, because I was reading this one, just not for the show. And I'm curious to see what Connor would think of this one, because Fitzmartin is writing the Tim Drake book.
Yes.
And I'm curious to see how their writing compares. So if you get a chance, I would like for you to check out this Young Justice book.
Yeah, and then
Didn't even read Dark Crisis, man.
It actually does not tie into Dark Crisis, except for the fact that the Justice League is gone, and something happens to bring the Young Justice to a time before. So it doesn't actually.
So it stretched the limits of tie-in, is what you're saying.
Yes, it's more like a Young Justice book of what's going on with them, So.
So then we got a couple of hardcovers of the One Bad Day books, which are doing individually. Although last month, Connor, they had like you can buy the first one coming out with like a box that'll fit all the hardcovers if you buy the rest of them. So it's like the first book plus like a box that'll have another 7 slots.
It kind of confused us a little because we thought it was going to be
the whole thing. Yeah.
No, they've done that a few times before when they've done it with like I think they did with like some of the Sandman ones with the slipcases. So they'll do like a slipcase that has space, room for the next one to put in for the next deluxe edition.
Well, I would be fine with it if it was split a bit more like I think it's a little bit shitty. They're just doing individual hardcovers of the one shots one by one. Like bundle them at least in 2s for the collection, just to I get
that. Yeah, but I also think they're just about big enough that they probably make a nice slim hardcover. It's weird because obviously the floppy is essentially the same, right? Just with probably inferior binding, right? At that point,
maybe with a couple of extras in the hardcover, I assume. At the back, maybe. Yeah. But just like honestly, ideally, I would say you do 2 4-issue collections that are meaty, but whatever. They're going to milk this because they're $18 each RRP.
Yeah.
So
which is less than a standard trade, to be fair.
But aren't they bigger though too? It's a 6 by 5/8 by 10 by 3/16. I mean that's a little bit bigger than the paperbacks.
That is a standard
hardcover, which is a little bit bigger than a floppy issue.
Okay.
Yeah, slightly. It's not much bigger though.
Slightly, so it's not much. So
yeah,
it's a little bit bigger than the single issue, but I mean that $18 is about the price that they normally charge for a paperback trade, like a 6-issue trade, give or take.
Yeah, but
so it's not.
I mean, I know it's hardcover, but it's like it feels weird to me that the issue was what $8 or whatever, and then the hardcover, it's basically the exact same, maybe with a couple extras at the back, is $18. It's quite an uptick in price for
it's about like half the size of a standard hardcover. So I mean, how much do they charge for their normal hardcovers? So they got one coming out $25 for the next one. So
which while we're on it is Poison Ivy Volume 1, the WIliamson series. So that's cool. We have Nightwing Volume 1. This is the paperback. Obviously the hardcover's been out for a while. So cool. And then Nightwing Volume 3, the hardcover. So that tells you where the hardcovers are in the collection.
They picked a great cover for that.
They definitely did.
Interesting, it's only a 5-issue trade instead of 6, which obviously, you know, that's just where the story falls, but DC tend to be a little bit stricter usually on where they do what they do with their trades.
Well, I think the fact that issue 100's a long issue probably affects like how it collects.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because the next one will probably be
the annual plus issue 100.
Yeah, right? That'll be 6 issues worth.
Well, yeah, but also, I mean, this one ends at 96, Matt, so it'll be like 97 to like 102 probably.
Right.
No, but 97, 98, 99 is 3 issues worth. And then the 100 is 2 issues worth, and then the annual is 2 issues worth as well. So that's like 7 issues worth of content. Yeah,
but the annual's not the end of the arc, though. Oh, sorry, not the annual. The issue 100's not the end of the arc. It's like part 3 or 4 of the arc, so I don't think that's the end of the.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that the ending of that doesn't work as the cliffhanger of a hardcover, because it could, but
but you're right. But it does say part. You know. Was that?
It was part 4 or 5 this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel the end of the story, so I suspect it'll just be a bigger trade next time.
Yeah.
But it's awkward though, because if you,
I don't know, we'll get to when we talk about it, but I think where this issue ends, I think could be the end of the trade.
It could be, but I'm just, it's definitely not numbered to like the end of the story.
And I'm just thinking with how much Heartless has to do with this, maybe they would save the Heartless origin for whenever, that big arc is.
I think we're in that arc.
That's what I mean, but that's what I mean, but maybe there's a bigger arc beyond it. You know what I mean? So they'd probably maybe say the annual for that.
Honestly, I think it's just a case of the arc ended at 96, and it would be awkward to include like the next 2 issues or whatever, because that's the first 2 of the next arc, so it's just the way it fell. Would be my guess. But there you go. So that's Nightwing Volume 3, Black Adam Volume 1, first half of this current Black Adam series. New Champion of Shazam, getting a hardcover, which is cool. Obviously, it just finished this week. It actually also includes a story from Lazarus Planet, We Were Once Gods, which obviously we've not got yet, but
that's where that's picking up. Not Revenge of the Gods. We Were Once Gods. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's easy to get confused because the other one did feature Billy Bats and Shazam on that cover for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So. Then we got Absolute Preacher Volume 1 being reprinted. So, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Absolute Sandman Overture also reprinted,
which is stunning, by the way. And if you've not read, you do have to read it after the rest of Sandman. It is kind of like the ending, but it is just the art. Williams it's just gorgeous.
What's with this helmety thing on the front? It looks like whose helmet?
Dreams.
Dream wears a helmet.
Sometimes. It's one of his like symbols of power, but like he has an official helmet that he wears when he does his official duty.
He looks like the space jockey from Alien, so that's why I just had questions.
I have a sticking suspicion that may have been inspired by that because it reminded me of that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a thought. The paperback for the Geoff John Shazam series been released, which I'm shocked that
existed.
Yeah, I'm shocked that that's not out yet, to be honest. And then Power Shazam.
Oh, no, it is. It says offered again. So it's a reprint.
Oh, it's a reprint. Okay. Oh, fair enough then, I guess. I assumed that there'd just been a hardcover and this was the paperback coming. And then we got Power Shazam Book 2, The Worm Turns, which is Power Shazam 13 to 23 and some related tie-in issues. I guess that's the nice thing about getting a second movie is that they're doing a volume 2 of a new trade series they started when the first movie came out.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'm all for.
Just hope there's not too much more because you're probably not getting another movie.
No, I highly doubt it. I don't know how long this run lasted. Someone can check how long the I assume 80s Shazam, maybe early 90s Shazam series.
Early 90s, I would guess too.
So we got History of DC Universe, getting a hardcover, and then Batman Vengeance of Bane issue 1 facsimile edition.
Ooh.
So fair enough. And then Wonder Woman Historia of the Amazons.
Did you finish that, Connor?
No, I was decided to wait and just read it all in one go again because it was so dense. I really like that first issue, but it was so dense. I'm like, I just want to read it all as a hardcover.
By the time the second one came out, you couldn't remember a damn thing.
Yeah,
effectively.
A little bit. I just checked, by the way. Power of Shazam, mid 90s to late 90s, it ran for 47 issues. So there's at least another trade or two's worth.
Probably, yeah.
Depending on what other tie-ins there were.
Probably one bulky trade, but if there was more tie-in issues, then maybe two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully get through them at some point. We got Batman Beyond the White Knight hardcover, so that's coming, and then DC Pride: The New Generation, which is the Pride special, but also the Tim Drake stories from Urban Legends. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. And then we have Gotham Academy being reprinted. Is this a...
It's a complete trade, 1-18 and the annual. So it's the full thing.
But it's a 470-page
Don't drop this paperback on your toe.
Yeah. Which I guess, I've seen like the No Man Land trades are about that size, maybe even a little bit bigger, so it's not that unheard of, but it is quite big.
Did either of you read this?
I did. I thought it was it was pretty fun. It's not like standout amazing or anything, but yeah, no, I definitely had fun with it.
Yeah, I think I tried like the first issue back when it launched.
I think it was around the same time as what was the other Gotham book with Jim Corrigan in?
Yeah.
Gotham by Midnight or whatever.
Yes, I think it launched around the same time as this, and that was definitely the more interesting book. But this was lighthearted fun. Yeah.
Teen Titans Go box set 1, TV or not TV. Oh, that's actually quite a good title.
That's good.
I give them credit for that. That's a slipcover with 3 trades in it. And then we got a Superman 78, Batman 89 box set with those 2 trades together.
That is a fantastic box right there.
Yeah, designed like a VHS case.
Yeah, it's like an old VHS case, and even the spines of the trades look like the spines of VHS, with the sticker labels
that you
on them.
draw on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That is good.
It's a nice touch. And then we have Girl taking over a Lois Lane story, 2023 Free Comic Book Day Special Edition.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool, something different.
Excerpt from upcoming graphic novel.
Yeah, same vein. We have Clark and Lex and Fan Club, Batman Squad 2023 Free Comic Book Day Special Edition.
It's a very confusing title, but
it's a very confusing title.
See, when you just look at the cover, it's just it's a Clark and Lex Special Edition, and then it's flip over for a sneak peek at Fan Club Batman Squad. So it's 2 different things.
Yeah, but
which looks like a cartoony, Captain Underwear kind of version of Batman.
Yeah, the title as it's written down sounds very confusing. It makes sense once you kind of realize what it is, but it's just kind of
when you look at the cover, it's not that confusing, but just the way it's solicited.
Yeah. And then the actual graphic novel it's talking about is underneath that for Clark and Lex. Then we're back to single issues. We got Batgirls issue 17, which is coming. Really nice cover by
It's a great cover.
The book's original artist, which is nice to see.
I really like all the covers actually.
Yeah, the variant with Steph on the yellow background is really nice as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got the sort of, I guess, hip hop one with Steph and Cass. It's kind of nice too.
Yeah,
they're all good.
The only thing I don't like about the one with Steph on the yellow background is there's some weird like separation of the layers around the top of her hood into the yellow. It kind of just feels like it doesn't sit on the yellow quite that nicely.
Yeah,
but mostly quite nice stuff.
Very nice. Batman Incorporated issue 7 coming out. We got Professor Pig on the cover of that, so
always fun. And a weird clown on the second one.
Oh, really? Oh.
Like a clown cowboy sort of thing.
Clown boy.
That's someone's put Joker into like an app and it spit out a cowboy version of him. That's what's happened there.
So that guy's name is Dusty Bronco from Joker Inc., which if you look on the side of it.
I like how Matt was saying that as if he knows, like, that's actually this character from Joker Inc. I'm an expert.
You guys would have believed me had I not said it's right there on the cover.
Yeah, it does say if that were enough, the road to Joker Inc. begins here. So
Matt just turned into comic book guy from The Simpsons for a second.
Yeah.
Which issue ever?
Batman Superman World's Finest issue 14. So that's cool.
And Mora never has a break.
No, apparently not. But who killed Simon Stagg on the cover? Yeah.
I'm willing to bet there was a line.
Yeah. Oh, the variant's quite nice and pulpy as well, actually.
Which one?
The first variant, the one that's like all the outsiders running at the bottom, and Superman with some Legion members up at the top. Took me a second to realize what they were. Like, who are these chumps? Oh, there's the Legion members.
Yeah.
I would argue, but sales are on your side. So.
Yeah, and obviously because this book's set in the past, it's like, old school versions of these characters, which is neat.
Another anime style cover from the same artist as before, but I actually really like the way it's laid out. Like, I would love to see that as interiors with as panel layouts. I think it's really stylish.
Batman: The Adventure Continues, Season 3, Issue 4. Just add more numbers to the title. Rolls it off the tongue.
Yes, with definitely not a certain someone there on the front cover, right?
Yeah, that's right. I was trying to look and be like, who? Okay.
That's Danny Grump. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Any similarities to anyone living or dead is purely.
I'm really trying to figure out what character it's supposed to be, but yeah.
I'm wondering if it's supposed to be this the not so funny sidekick straight man.
I don't know. But yeah, so they're having fun with that. But it looks a bit Black Adam issue. Yeah, Black Adam issue 10 with another banger of a cover. If there's one thing that book's had consistently, is those main covers have been gorgeous.
I need to get caught up on that book. I need a time turner to get more time in my day.
I don't think I've read the last issue yet. I think, but yeah, no, it's been good. It's been pretty good.
Blue Beetle Graduation Day issue 6 wraps up that book.
Did anyone try that out? How was it?
Yeah, we've read the first 2 issues. Yeah,
it's decent. If you're catching up on stuff, I would say prioritize other things. But if you get caught up, then it won't hurt.
Yeah, like this is the thing. Like, I think both issues we've read, really, if this was a busier week, it would be the first thing that probably goes. But it's a decent enough read for what it is.
Fair enough.
So.
And if you're downloading it, don't make the mistake I did and accidentally get the Spanish language version.
From ComiXology. Although even the English version has a reasonable amount of Spanish in it. You're supposed to just sort of skip past if you don't know Spanish.
Yeah, I've got them saved on my my Infinite library.
Yeah.
So I've got the first 2 issues I think are on there at the minute. So I just haven't got one.
Catwoman issue 54. Tina Howard's run continues. Danger Street issue 5. Obviously, Cara's not been here for the first 2, but we've been praising as you would expect. So looking forward to more of that. More Manhunter stuff. Oh yes. We got DC Ruby issue 3. I swear we've had that series already, like twice, but they keep doing it.
I think there was like Ruby DC before.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Now it's flipped.
That's funny. Sometimes I feel like they intentionally make comic book titles just more confusing than they need to be.
Yeah.
Just call it Ruby DC 2 or something. I mean, I just complained about too many numbers, I suppose, but so I don't know, something. There must be a better way to do it. Deceased War of the Undead Gods issue 8, the final issue and the final Deceased book coming in April. So we'll see how that wraps up. Justice Society of America issue 5. So we've only had issue 1 of this so far, but obviously we were very intrigued by how it wrapped up. So curious to see where it goes.
Very prominent snow globe there, Pete.
I noticed that, and a certain character showed up in Stargirl this week that also made me think of snow globes. So we got Multiverse.
Was it Minister Blizzard?
No, it was not.
It's not, but that's a good guess. It's also not Cold Snap. So
it's not Cold Snap.
That's my next guess.
It's not Minister Blizzard. It's not Icicle Junior or Icicle Senior.
But Icicle the Third. There's got to be one of those by now.
Or Frost.
Not yet, but give Justice Society enough time.
Killer Frost. Multiversity, Harley Screws the DCU issue 2 is coming up. Oh, sorry, Screws Up.
Crucial.
Well, I was saying Screws in like a, like a Vince screwed Brett kind of way, not in a sexy way.
Okay.
And then we got Nightwing 103, and Redondo just loves killing with the covers.
Tom Taylor did a little bit of teasing on Twitter about this. I don't know if you saw.
No, I didn't.
Because someone was like, "Hey, look, this is all great and all, and we're clearly doing a Titans arc, as you can see here. But shouldn't the Titans just get their own book?" and he kind of retweeted. He was like, "Well, you know, maybe some more stuff coming soon."
Don't do that to me.
Yeah.
Carter's got a ghost. I'm sure it's just his cat, but it looks like a ghost.
Oh my goodness, this cover with the Titans and the formal wear.
Oh, the formal wear. I was looking at the faces one. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
Well,
yeah, they're looking very dapper, as they say. Poison Ivy issue 11, coming out from WIliamson and Takara. And then we have Scooby-Doo, Where Are You 121, Stargirl, The Lost Children, issue 6, wrapping up that miniseries. So that's neat. And we got Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries issue 7, The Flash 796, the final moments of the 1 Minute War. That's a pretty cool cover, actually, with all the Flash characters running. So it's not perfect. Like, I don't necessarily love how all the faces are drawn, but the actual overall look of the cover is nice.
I was going to ask, is Jay meant to be really young? And then I saw, no, there's still a little bit of grey on the hair, just peeking out under the helmet. So I guess he's not. I was genuinely going to ask if that was like something to do with the war, but no, I think it's just the way it's drawn.
Yeah, it's just a drawing. Then Flash 797, also solicited, which is interesting. I mean, maybe this still counts as like an epilogue to 1 Minute War, but like obviously it's went double shipping for
the war.
The war, yeah.
It's Kid Flash babysitting Jay and Irie,
which sounds like fun because the family stuff's been really good. So very cool. So all I'm saying is does that mean that it's staying double shipping once the arc is done, or maybe it's just like a little bit of holdover and then it's back to single after that? We'll find out in the next solicits, I suppose. Joker, Man Who Stopped Laughing issue 7. So that's coming out, and then we got Sandman Universe Dead Boy Detectives issue 5. We have Tim Drake Robin issue 8 coming out with
oh man,
it's a very Sherlock Holmes looking cover you got there for that book.
But look who's on art.
Who's on art?
Not Riley Rosmo.
No, it's Niccolo.
Good luck.
There's a lot of accents and things on those letters. I don't think I can even try it.
Yeah. Very cartoony style. That artist did the Zatanna Batman story I was reading in Urban Legends. Very, very stylized in a similar way to Rosmo, but not nearly as stylized.
Interesting. We got Wildcats issue 6, which is that not a mini? I guess it's not. Oh, fair enough.
I guess not.
Fair enough. And then Wonder Woman 798, which it does mention is a Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods tie-in. It does have a quite a cool cover actually, with the big Shazam logo behind Wonder Woman with all the lightning and stuff.
Yeah. Well, then the one behind it has Diana in front of Mary, and so maybe there will be some more Shazam begins.
Behind
trying to make shenanigans.
That's how you describe the next cover, is the one behind this one.
Yeah.
Even though it's arrows going left to right.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a really nice cover later on though. It's like Diana's face from the side with lots of lightning around her. That's quite pretty. I don't know which artist did that one. Sometimes it's hard to tell because there's like 5 variants listed. But then anyway, after that, I think we're on to the trades here. So we got Batman Fortress hardcover, and then we got Batman Urban Legends Volume 5, and then we have Static Season 1 paperback. We got Steel: A Celebration of 30 Years hardcover. So this is
cool.
Yeah, this is a collection of different issues from different series, so it's kind of an anthology book with just important issues. So not something that you would have to read through from cover to cover, but if you just want a collection of like prominent Steel issues, and Connor's fixing technical issues, I think there's a lot of stuff going on over there. We got Superman Son of Kal-El Volume 3 hardcover, which is the is this the last of the Tom Taylor? Like obviously we don't have the mini afterwards, but I mean, is this the last of the?
Well, it says 11 to 15.
Was 15 the last issue, or did it go beyond that? I can't remember.
I think 15 was the last issue.
Okay. Teen Titans Academy Volume 2 paperback.
Remind me when we get to Nightwing to have a point about Teen Titans Academy. Don't let me forget.
Okay. I'll try and remember. Tom Strong Compendium, 952 pages in a paperback of Tom Strong.
Good lord.
36 issues. This is.
I would love to read this, but I respect my back too much.
This collects issues written by Alan Moore, Leah Moore, and Ed Brubaker, as well as others. It's got a nice Alex Ross cover, though.
Mm-hmm. I just love the concept of Tom Strong. It's very Doc Savage it's the whole point of that character.
And then finally, we're getting a new printing of the V for Vendetta Absolute Edition. So, cool.
This might be the first time I made it through the entire solicits in a while that I could see all the covers.
Yes, but Carter's like emerging from like below the desk, like fixing cables. I have no idea what he's doing. Maybe he went muty again, and that's what he's trying to fix. I'm not sure. But,
maybe.
I just looked over and he was doing shit. Whoa! Oh, he sounds like a robot.
There is no Connor, only Zool.
How's that now?
Oh, there you go.
Yes, I think I've got a dodgy cable somewhere, which is what's going on. It's disconnecting my microphone from the sound card.
I need a new XLR cable then. That's what...
I don't know if it's the XLR from this to the sound card, or if it's the USB from the sound card to the computer. It's one of those, but yeah.
Get one of each. And
when the cat came in, speaking of,
the door just swings
gone
open
and knocked the cable. Yes. Again. Nightmare.
There. Innocent putty cat. The cat did nothing wrong.
That's just not true.
Where are my cats? I've got two of them in here. Garrus is on the bed. Wesker's on the couch behind me. Snoozing about.
There you go.
Oh, we got cat cam.
There you go.
My cat's not in here. Although she's been very moody lately, and I never know what it's gonna be, if she's gonna bite me or cuddle on me.
Yeah,
so it's been.
He got snipped this week.
Oh.
I
Yes.
never found out. What'd you guys name the cat?
Cleo. Because for like 2 months, it was like, oh no, it's a girl, definitely a girl. 2 vets were like, yep, definitely a girl. Then third vet was like, you said she was a girl. Like, yeah. It's been double checked already. Like, yeah, well, he's got balls. We're not changing the name now.
Pretty important subject to come up when you are going to fix some,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just C Leo, right? You call him Cleo for short.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of stuck.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, because I thought it was a girl cat. Then when he said he got snipped, I was like,
yep.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's fun when they come back from the vet after getting snipped and they're still a little bit out of it from the anesthetic or whatever it is they give them.
Yeah. He was in a big cone, but he was destroying it and just getting it off constantly. So we got one of these little bodysuit things to not, so they don't, rip open the stitches.
Of course, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which he's still not loving, but
the cone of shame, as we call it.
Well, the cone was annoying because he had no spatial awareness and just kept walking into things, us included, because he couldn't figure out this is where the cone is and just like banged into absolutely everything.
Mm.
Every time he tried to run through your legs, it was, now I'm going to go falling over.
Well, I mean, Connor's already got a history of being toppled to the ground by sweet, innocent animals with no threatening demeanors whatsoever.
No,
so
definitely not.
It wouldn't be shocking for a little kitten to break Connor's arm.
You say this as if I haven't heard these jokes every single day at work.
Hey, don't worry. Last week we were theorizing about your trip and like, well, you know how in It's Always Sunny, the whole story about Dennis taking a woman out on the boat.
The implication, yes.
The implication. Well, we were just theorizing that maybe there was an implication that if she didn't say yes, that there's a volcano right there. Like,
And either way, either you're jumping in or you're pushing. We weren't, deciding which side.
We're in the middle of nowhere.
I don't believe you for a second. In my head, you proposed at the top of a volcano.
No, we were out in the middle of nowhere, so there was no lights. You could see the northern lights.
I thought I was going to say we were in the middle of nowhere, so that she said no, there was no way they'd find her body.
Well, there's that too.
Connor, what's the shovel for? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's a contingency plan, that's all.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Oh dear. Alright, let's get into the book, shall we? Oh, Matt, get off your phone. You're so unprofessional.
Sorry.
He's sitting there texting his I don't know, his hockey guy or something. He's getting insider trading for his gambling addiction or something. I don't know what you do.
No. You don't gamble on hockey if you like having money. You gamble on football. That's where the easy money is.
I'll take your word for it. I
you Americans, you're pros at gambling, aren't you? You're all allowed to do it all the time.
No, because I still don't. Even though I was born and raised in a city where gambling's big, I don't. It's too.
I was going to say, Connor, he does live in Las Vegas. That's not.
Yeah, no, and I've still probably done more than he has.
Yeah,
I mean, probably.
We just don't, and
so I don't. Culturally, it's not like the same.
Yeah,
no,
it's
doesn't mean people in the UK are good at it though.
I didn't say that.
I don't know. I just sports betting is just one of those things that I don't need to have money on a team to enjoy the game. Like a lot of people do. So, yeah.
I don't know.
I like having my money. I work hard for my money. I'm not going to go risk it.
I am.
There's a reason why other casinos are so big and have such nice floors.
I am interested in, at some point in the relative near future, arranging some kind of group quiz. Not for this show in particular, but for just Male Fuzz in general. And, I don't have people put money on who's going to win or anything, but there should be stakes of some kind. And I do.
Depends what the quiz is on, really, doesn't it?
It'll probably just be general movie stuff and, pop culture. But
I like that Connor's not good in quizzes, so I would definitely take.
Yeah, it wouldn't all be
the field.
It wouldn't all be trivia though. There'd be different rounds. Like one round might be like more of like a Pictionary style thing. So
this is all just part of Pete's dream to eventually host a game show. That's all he wants.
I think that people would enjoy it. Plus, it's an excuse for people who don't normally record shows together to
True.
Think together for a couple of hours. It's fun.
And then enter the Chaos Goblin known as Tim.
Yeah. You don't get to record with Tim that often, man. It'd be a treat.
No, it's like, I'm saying he's like a whammy, right? You just introduce Tim to the game and
everything goes tits up.
And my real goal is to get Connor on the same episode with the man who made him read every issue of Red Hood.
Oh boy.
So he's got like a thirst for vengeance. He's got a reason to crush someone.
Thirst for blood.
I'm coming for you.
Oh boy.
I don't know. Big plans for the future. I'll look into it. But anyway, we're here to talk about comics. We got 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. I've lost count. I read 9.
Boy.
So there's 10 books, and then there's 2 Patreon books from Connor. So we'll get into it.
So there's 12 books, what are you saying?
Let's get cracking. Well, yeah, if you wanted to do the maths, but I feel like that's cheating.
Well, you tried.
No, that's cheating. Doing math is cheating, okay?
Just because you couldn't.
Letterboxed.
Matt's doing his letterbox while doing the show. Well, you can follow me if you want, Matt.
I follow all of you guys.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care if you follow everyone else, but you should follow me.
Hey, Dan's a good follow for movies. Me and him have a lot of crossover.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Dan, who no one listening to this show knows who that is or has ever heard of.
No, but you guys know who Dan is.
Well, yeah, but you have to keep it relatively approachable for the audience.
Yeah.
Well, what Matt's saying is that all the audience should follow us on Twitter and then they'd see our interactions with Dan and they'd know Dan as well.
Yeah, but his name on Twitter's not even Dan. It's not. We know he's Dan, but like they don't know he's Dan.
That is his name on Twitter.
His name right now is Elon.
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
His name right now is Elon Musk is a C word. That is his name right now on Twitter. You don't get Dan from that.
Which shifted from he The name was about Elon Musk maybe filleting a dog.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Oh no, that's
Dan's
what it is
great.
now. I saw Elon Musk fillet a dog once.
Okay. Well, it was the other one for a while.
Yeah,
It was. Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. All right. Anyone else you want to name drop that no one's ever heard of except from us?
I mean, I could, but I don't need to.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
All right.
I bring up James all the time.
Yeah, you don't complain about that.
Yeah.
Straw that broke the camel's back. All right. At least Tim's on another show. At least there's like some reference for him where I can be like, he's on Screams After Midnight. You go check out Screams.
Still, my all-time favorite Tim moment on here is when we were discussing the last Hellboy movie, and he just talked about how bad it was and still gave it a 10. And that's why he's a Chaos Goblin.
Dear. Okay. Nightwing, SG 100. That's what we're starting with this week. Tom Taylor writing with Bruno Redondo, but also a lot of other artists because it's a big issue.
Which I felt really immediately like.
Oh yeah,
there was like there's a few pages of Redondo, and then it drops off a cliff about 4 pages in.
No, absolutely. Like, I have a lot of good things to say about this issue. There's a lot of things I really liked. I shed tears at a certain point late on in this issue, but the art was definitely like, and it almost did something that I could have respected. Like there's a bit in it where it goes through a series of splash pages where it shows you like kind of an evolution of Nightwing, right? And I thought if it didn't start with Redondo, see if it just like started with another artist, and the idea was that each time the artist changed for those splash pages, it was going to end in Redondo because he's the current Nightwing artist. Right. I could have respected thematically what it was going for there, but that's not what it does. It starts with Redondo, and then Redondo goes away and he comes back near the end.
I believe all of the artists that were on here are ones that were associated with Nightwing. Right?
Sure, yeah.
Which I did like. I just wish there was more of an order to it. So like, because to me, when I think of Nightwing and first getting into comics, it's that Scott McDaniel art. So maybe a lot of the earlier stuff, or maybe the stuff between him and Bruce being done by him would have been okay, but it all just feels like a cluster.
I don't think his art suits the modern action stuff that is written for him.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Also, that like 5 pages of the outfits, I thought was a bit much. I don't think it needed like 4 or 5 full pages of that.
But
it felt like, okay, we're just
it is
self-indulgent at that point.
It's but it's a showpiece for the artist to do like. Yeah. Look at this big image of Nightwing in an issue that's celebrating.
What I do love about it, though, I agree it's maybe a bit much, but I do love that there's no Rick Grayson, but they do make a point of doing the blue suit before the red suit and then the current blue suit after the red suit.
I also thought it was interesting, like one of the artists on this is Mikhail Yanin. Obviously, his stuff with Nightwing is actually the Grayson stuff. It's like, he doesn't have a suit to draw, like, his suit, which is what I'm assuming is happening with the other artists.
But there's no Robin either. Right, so I think it's very clear that this is just all the Nightwings. It's not, because it could be very easy to start off with his Robin and then switch to Nightwing and so on.
No, it is. It's just it's very clear that what it's doing here is it's the artists from all those previous runs drawing their suit.
Well, and I think it's also artists that had also ties to Bloodhaven, except for Yanin, right? Because that was all over the world.
Was the New 52 stuff, was that in Bloodhaven?
Yeah, I believe so.
In a while. Was he not traveling during that with the circus?
Maybe a little bit, but it was definitely in Bloodhaven / Gotham primarily.
Because I remember the circus. He reconnects with the circus.
Yeah.
There, and that's where we got the Talon stuff that was retrofitted into the Talon stuff. So, but yeah. So no, I just wish there was more of a form to it and more of a structure. But when the Redondo pieces hit, they hit real nice.
Yeah, no, but I like everything this is doing from a story perspective, though, because it's everything it sets up. Obviously, it's playing on everything that the run's been doing with Heartless making his big move. The crux of the story, we'll come back to like Dick with Bruce because it comes back at the end, so we'll just get to it when it comes back in because that's where all the juicy stuff is. But it primarily focuses around the idea that the prison in Bloodhaven is the first thing you see when you're coming into the city via the bridge. And Nightwing doesn't like that because it's like, here's a reminder of a lot of our failures. Not to mention how corrupt the system is, so that, like, a lot of the prisoners don't really belong there. They just, they can't afford bail.
And that the point of Bloodhaven is that they relish the cruelty. Yeah. Right. By locking people in there and, reminding them of all the people coming into the city or right on the out. Like, very, very good social commentary from Taylor there.
Yeah. And, I don't dislike the second artist by any means. Like, I think it looks like it's like a fun 90s style. It's just such a jarring shift from Redondo.
If you're reading that 90s book, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
But in this one, it just.
But after the sensibilities of Redondo, and it seems so much softer, and the colors, pop. It's not as heavy on the inks.
Yeah, everything's just very different. But Heartless breaks out of the prison. He wants to recruit all the prisoners, including KJ Beast, to raise hell in Bloodhaven. He wants to prove that the city, is basically a mess, and you can't restore order here. It's always going to have this element of chaos. And even releases Elephant Man into the into the city. So that's kind of our big action thing of the issue, is that all this going on is like Nightwing shows up, eventually the Titans show up as well to help, and it's them dealing with this crisis to give us all the action and the spectacle, which is fun stuff. But I think the more heartfelt part of it is that he actually convinces some of the prisoners, like, hey, this guy that's recruited you and let you out is like a child killer. He literally takes families and breaks them apart and murders people. Do you really want to be associated with them? And actually recruits some of the prisoners to help with the crisis, which I thought was a good bit of, it's a very good Dick Grayson sort of form of heroism as well. But just in general, it was a nice bit of social commentary. It's like, hey, not everyone in here, like someone who's in here because they, cheated their taxes a bit, it doesn't make them want to side with a serial killer. And cause like infinite darkness in the city and evil and whatever. So makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, so Titans show up. It's a fun bit of time. They all split up into do their individual bits. I really like the page of Beast Boy becoming an elephant to take on Elephant Man. I thought that was a really nice, well done little sequence. Having fun with the concept.
I do have an issue though, and am I just being considered on the art that when Beast Boy turns back into his regular form, he's wearing an eye patch still. Shouldn't the animal version have an eye patch? I think they're missing an opportunity.
That is a fair statement. I mean, I will say at least that eye that's got the eye patch over it is constantly in shadow when he's the elephant, so it might suggest that he's still missing that eye, even when he's an elephant.
Okay. That's fair. I just think it would be funny.
I mean, I don't know for sure. Yeah. I genuinely don't. I'm just saying that maybe because, but you're right. He does have the eye patch back on. Maybe he's got like a spare in his pocket that he whips back on after he's retransformed.
I mean, he loses all of his clothes when transformed, so I think we can argue that the eye patch just goes with the rest of his outfit.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I'm sure there's an old Titans issue somewhere that explains how he gets his clothes back.
Yeah, it's not like the big green elephant has got his red outfit stretched over it.
That is very true.
I'm just saying they're just missing an opportunity for.
Matt just wanted to see an elephant with an eye patch.
I'm going to actively say the eye is missing because in the bit where it's transforming, you can see it does like a step-by-step transformation of his face, and I'm almost there's no eye there.
Yeah, no, I would say as well. Yeah, it's just sort of shadow.
Yeah.
I think why I'm not saying it's conclusive because you never actually see both eyes at the same time to see what the other one looks like in the art. So I would say it's inconclusive on that ground, but that's the only reason why I'm doubtful. But otherwise, I agree. Yeah, it looks like there's no eye there. So yeah, but anyway, but the big thing is that Heartless actually wants to go and see Zuko, and this actually makes a lot of sense because we found out Heartless's backstory in I think it was the annual, which was a great issue. Revealed a lot of really interesting stuff about Heartless's backstory, that he was basically like this kid who was destined to be a serial killer because he had all those like impulses, and he was in the crowd when the Graysons died, and that was the time he realized that he liked watching people die, which I loved that as a
point.
Yeah, it felt like such a natural thing. It didn't feel like a big retcon because he's just because it was a public event, so it wasn't that much big to say that he was just in the crowd.
Like these weird parallels with Bruce with the butler and stuff.
Yeah. So this idea that he actually kind of like is like a fanboy of Zuko because Zuko's the one who committed that murder effectively, and wants to like bring him in onto his plans, is actually really interesting and makes the Zuko stuff of like, you know, capturing him and dealing with him in the last several issues come back around. And it's like, oh, it wasn't just like a fun thing to do with him dealing with Zuko. It was like that's setting up him for later in the run as well, because he's going to end up being with Heartless. It makes all of this feel like it is some sort of grand arc that's about everything in Nightwing sort of coming together into a story.
Just the decision that Taylor made to have we all call Dick Grayson the heart of the DCU, right? And that now his main foil is Heartless, and it's all about, cruelty and, basically this shadow of who Dick Grayson is, I think, and that shadow overstretching Bloodhaven as Dick Grayson tries to make it a better place. I definitely think that's the bigger arc at play here.
Yeah. And we also have, obviously, Dick and KG Beast having a bit of a fight. I didn't particularly like the... There's a point here when he gets tackled by KG Beast where Dick mentions that he's improved his suit, he's improved his batons and his grapple over the years to handle more weight. But that doesn't change the fact that his shoulder blade can only take so much, so it doesn't matter.
And you can feel that in that, as KG Beast tackles him. It reminded me of that one spot in that ladder match, Pete. I think it was Edge who hits one of the Hardy brothers with the spear off the ladder.
Oh yeah, it's Geoff when he's dangling it. Yeah,
is that what it was? Yeah. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But yeah, no, you definitely the shoulder pop here with all the stars around it and stuff.
This is revenge. This is revenge for the fellow TED talk earlier. He's bringing up wrestling to alienate Connor.
Yeah, I'm what he's going for here.
You're fine.
So Superman and Wonder Woman show up after the Titans have helped Dick take care of KG Beast, and they've got an offer. And they show him the Hall of Justice, and basically, Superman carves out the Nightwing logo into one of the chairs, and I mean it's all like screwed up, but there's like one chair still standing.
It's the only chair left.
Yeah. He's like, here, and he's like, I actually like this. He's like, I'll sit in it once it's cooled down, because right now it's like molten hot.
The molten metal, little thing, I appreciate the symbolism, but I might want to wait until the molten metal. It's not molten metal before I sit down. And Clark's like, yeah, that's fair.
It's kind of wild that like between this Nightwing run and possibly other things, if Taylor's alluding to other books that are coming.
I'm gonna find that tweet just to get what he actually said.
Yeah, we're kind of getting the promise of way back when we started this show. In the first couple of weeks, there was like a Justice League issue from the old book before everything relaunched, or there was still a couple issues left. And one of the issues was Batman telling young Dick Grayson that one day he's going to lead the Justice League. I think it's very fascinating that we're finally getting to at least kind of do that story, and it won't last forever, obviously, because comics are cyclical, but we're finally getting a chance to actually explore that, and that's what he's talking to Batman about when it comes back around, and he's with Batman at Alfred's grave. They talk about how that they've never been here together to visit the gravesite, and this is the scene. I think this is the scene of the issue, because this is the scene that it's like, okay, what always comes up when we talk about the relationship between Batman and Dick Grayson, we talk about how Alfred was this bridge between them, that Alfred would like sort of slap sense into Bruce when he's being too much of a stoic asshole, and he would be there to like communicate between them, and that's not there anymore. So Bruce has to actually say everything that he's feeling for once, and he does. And he calls Nightwing his son. Eventually, Dick hugs him and calls him dad, and it's all very emotional. Every time Tom Taylor brings up Alfred in this book, like I get weepy-eyed. Like,
yeah,
it's been that way since the first issue.
Literally since the first issue, yeah.
Well, and it makes Alfred's death feel like it's important, right? Because in comic books, we kind of just roll our eyes at deaths now, because it's ever. But this is the one death that between everything Taylor's done and then the stuff with Damian that was happening in Robin.
What's wild about it is that the death itself was one that we didn't believe, but everything that's been done since then has made it feel like the most important death that we've had since any of us have probably been reading comics.
Yeah,
it's been what, 2 years now?
About
maybe even 3 at this point.
Maybe more. Yeah,
but like I say, it's been a couple of years. And it's starting to feel like it might stick for a while, as opposed to at the time, this will be a year tops,
right?
But now I'm like, I don't know, like. I'm not going to say forever because this is comics, but this could go for a decade.
Well, shit. Batman versus Robin. We were assuming that this is how they bring him back, right? And then that all ended up being a ploy.
They spun that around. But Waid did a good job, almost making me believe. Just once or twice, there was just a little bit of like, I don't know. You're making me hope here.
But it's because of moments like this, and the one that gets me in this is that, Dick takes off the domino mask, and then Bruce takes down the cowl, and that we see Bruce's face for the first time
in this issue,
and as they're talking, and then that's what it leads to the hug and just Bruce's reaction. So not just that he takes off the mask because it shows that he's talking to Dick, person to person, but it also lets Redondo show us Bruce's reaction to it, like in a really good way. So that whole sequence is really well done.
I think the hope, just before I talk about some of the dialogue in the scene, I think the hope with this is that, again, nothing lasts forever in comics, but I think you hope that this, Dick leading the Titans as the new Justice League era and the Alfredless, Alfred's dead era, because it's actually good. It's not because we don't like Alfred, it's because his death actually had an impact. I think the hope is that we look back in this, kind of like the way we look back in post-crisis, where there's a 10-year, 15-year period where that was the continuity until it got reset again. And it was, we might look back at that as a golden era for us, where that's maybe one of our favorite times in comics. And
you think about Mark Waid's Flash run, and that was all about while they come to terms with not having Barry, So along the same lines, this is, Dick coming to terms with being his own man while also he's his own man, but he's his own man because he's the heart of the DCU. He's kind of that centerpiece that he has the connections to everybody. It's not just the Titans and Bruce, but Superman and Diana and all the people that come to talk to him here.
I mean, it was really nice actually. Just even having Superman and Wonder Woman be the ones to come and ask this of him, not Bruce. It's like. Right? It's the other ones that he's not directly connected to that are like, hey, no, we trust you with this. It should be you that does this. And that leads to the dialogue of the scene, which is, Bruce saying, Alfred would say that you inspire me and things like that. It's like, there's a lot of really heartfelt sentiments in there. And he says, Bruce thinks that he's failed him. He says, I'm sorry I failed you. I failed, and he's like, you've not failed anything. What are you talking about? But yeah, no, it's a really sweet scene. It's sort of basically, they don't do it too often, so whenever they whip out, and this goes for the whole family, so whenever they whip out, Alfred referring to Bruce as his son, or Bruce referring to Alfred as dad, and then here doing it with Dick and Bruce on the other end of the spectrum, it always kind of tugs a little bit, because it's kind of the thing that we all refer to them that way, we all think about them that way, but it's not official terms, because they're not actual fathers and sons and grandfathers, right. But so it's nice when they just come out and say it, because it makes it feel a bit, because it's what we already feel as the audience, so it resonates when they actually come out and say it eventually.
I saw people pushing back against this, and I don't get that at all, because I get that you could say that Bruce and Dick have a older brother, younger brother relationship, but for everything else, I mean, Bruce is his mentor and father figure, so I don't understand being upset in this issue where they're both being emotionally vulnerable that he calls him dad.
No, I mean, as someone who amusingly just watched the animated movie, which was the adaptation of Batman Ninja Turtles. Yeah. The comparison I would absolutely make is that Batman is Splinter, and then the 4 Robins are the Turtles. That's the comparison. He's the father figure.
Yeah, I didn't understand people being upset, because I hadn't read this until last night, because I tried to save Nightwing for close to last. And I saw people being upset with things that had happened, and I don't. Most of the time, I get when people are
upset at this. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, this is good, earnest, heartfelt character progression. This is great.
Right.
I might have nitpicked at the pacing with the splashes earlier on, but all the character beats.
But I feel like people are just upset that it's Tom Taylor, and there's a bit of hating going on just because. But the whole dynamic.
It's because he made Superman gay, Matt. That's why there's a group of people who are upset.
Maybe, but just nitpicking this of calling him dad in an emotionally vulnerable scene, and
that's their terminology, by the way. I know he's bisexual. I'm saying what they're saying.
Right. I didn't even think of that as you not you're summing up their thoughts. That's
I'm not clarifying just in case we get comments. Try to correct me. I'm saying what people are saying. Not.
Yeah. But I don't get that, and it's along the people these are the same people that also don't like when Babs and Dick are in a relationship for whatever reason, and it's just like, well,
hang on, let's not lump me in with those.
No.
Yeah, but let's face it, I don't think you were here for this issue, but you probably like when Nightmate was saying that he shipped Dick with Starfire.
I think I was here for that issue.
Wait, okay, never mind then. I don't remember. You're only here for like 1 in 5-ish episodes right now. I don't remember what one you were here for.
I think it was here for that one actually. But yes,
it's Doomsday Clock all over again.
Every week's a Doomsday Clock.
But no, just like it's along the same that people are just being upset to be upset, and like again, not loving Connor in because I'm sure Connor can articulate why, and whatever. But every time I see it, it's just people like it's not what they want, so they get upset, and it's just like, well, just it fits the story. Like this is wonderfully told, and the emotions there, and everything is earned. Like every interaction between Bruce and Dick that's led to them, being at odds with each other, it's because they're father and son. As someone with a very difficult relationship with his father, I feel their relationship like fully, and it feels real. So it just this scene landed extremely well, and even though now that you can see it coming a million miles away, that hug and it getting a whole page
for that,
it's a great moment because it's not like we haven't seen them hug before, but it's
not often.
But it's Bruce. It's Bruce coming to terms with like, this is my adult son, and I've done things right.
Yeah, it's not about being unpredictable, because like I think if you're into the story, like it has impact. And hell, even that opening page, I was thinking, hey, that kind of looks like a Titan's tower without the top part. And then obviously the end of the book is like he's announcing to the world, because Dick's decided to like buy the prison and kind of reform it. The idea being that when someone comes to Bloodhaven, the first thing they're going to see is the Titan's tower. So it's a symbol of hope rather than a prison.
Yeah. And this Titans team, which started as a group of sidekicks, now has its own legacy. So it's also a symbol of legacy and becoming your own thing, which is kind of what not your own person, but like Bloodhaven is being transformed for the better. Just like
get out of Gotham's shadow.
Yeah, just like Nightwing and the Titans have done, right? They become their own people. So that reminded me. There was a Titans Tower also in New York, and that was the whole Titans Academy. And I don't say this to sound shitty or whatever, but has a book mattered less in recent memory as Titans Academy? Because it doesn't feel like anything that happened in this book has had anything in here. With Taylor's Nightwing, like nothing with the Titans, like it's funny to me.
I guess obviously the sales for or whatever, then they know that maybe it's not worth. Look, it sounded like they let it reach a natural end point and finish, and whatever, but it feels like they know this is going to be a bigger deal, a bigger hit. Maybe this is just something Taylor always planned as part of his Nightwing run. And I don't know if he's tweeting that he's hinting that maybe there will be a sort of spin-off book that he'll also be doing.
What I'll do, I'll get the tweet here. Basically, someone asked if the Titans are staying in the Nightwing book. He's like, I love them, but wouldn't it be better for them to have a separate series?
So he sort of silently hinted at that, okay.
And Tom Taylor quoted it saying, Titans are around for a 4-issue arc with Travis Moore, and then Bruno Redondo and I have big things planned.
Let's go.
Which definitely, sounds to me like, okay, there might be a Titans book launching after that 4-issue arc, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But if this means losing Redondo and Nightwing, I'm going to be a little sad. Because I like Redondo's Nightwing work.
I'm not convinced that means there's another book coming from that wording. But, I hope there is.
I think it's in response to someone asking about them in a separate series. And then, and then saying, hey, there's big things coming. Puts me slightly towards there being a book coming.
It sounds more like to me saying, you only get them for an arc, but don't worry, there's big things coming that you'll enjoy afterwards. Like, it sounds like not a make good, but...
you wouldn't call it Justice League, but basically making the Titans book a Justice League.
Titans League, yeah,
whatever. Making that a Taylor Redondo book, I think, is exciting for me. So
maybe that's how you separate it into like phase 2 of his Nightwing arc, is you have a new regular artist instead of Redondo, and Redondo goes off to do the Titans book. If that's what's planned, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But
So,
but
I don't know, but yeah, no, all those emotional moments and the stuff too that's after that's almost like an epilogue when he they start hitting around the tower with him and his sister standing overlooking it with Babs and the dog. I just think that's all some very nice family stuff too, because this is now his Bloodhaven family, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, he's got a supporting cast, which is nice.
Yeah, like all in one place, and they're all with him. So and then just the image of him and Babs holding hands in the silhouette too, just really good stuff.
Yeah, because I would agree. It's the art changes early on, and maybe the overindulgence with the extra splash pages.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts the pacing a little bit in that first half. I generally like the crisis that they're dealing with, and I do especially like the pairing of Heartless and Zuko, which obviously we don't see what the outcome of that is. It teases that he's making the offer. We assume that there will be a relationship between them, and we'll see what fruit that bears in coming issues. I suspect it'll probably be after the rest of the Titans arc, if I was to guess. Maybe that'll just be its own thing, and then we'll get back to that.
It's why just when we were talking about in Solicits with the trades, this feels like the ending of an arc for a trade for me here. With this, and the next arc with the 4-issue Titans arc.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and just the way that when they defeat KG Beast, right, and then Starfire hands him the Heartless mask, and it says Dick Grayson has more to lose. Yeah. Like, that just feels like a tease for the next.
Yeah, like Heartless is clearly like this ongoing threat. This isn't the Heartless arc,
right?
Yeah,
I don't know if there will be a singular Heartless arc by the end, or if it'll just be he's just ever present.
Yeah, he's a constant threat.
Like a specter.
All of it, yeah. But it's definitely making it all feel like one big run that's all tied together, and it's saying that this has already been 22 issues plus an annual or two at this point.
Yeah,
and happily it doesn't feel like it's ramping up to end right now, which is nice. If anything, it feels like it's starting a whole fresh chapter with this Titan stuff.
I could buy this as a halfway point.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So things are exciting in Nightwing land, which I guess you'd call Bloodhaven, but you know what I mean. So Matt, what are you giving Nightwing 100?
I'm gonna give this. Let's see what I do. I wish you had asked Connor first, so I know where to gauge.
No, that makes it too easy for you.
Because the art was a problem, but I also really liked it. So I don't know if a 0.5 or a solid number, right? I'll go 8.5, but that could be amended depending what Pete and Connor say.
It's temporary until I hear what you two have said. Okay, Connor, what are you giving it?
I'll put Matt's mind at ease because I'm also going to go with an 8.5. I think art changes and some pacing in the first half is what brings it down. Because obviously all the character beats kind of and anything that was Redondo especially would have brought it up to a 9. But I think overall it just has to lose half a point.
Well, as a Dick Grayson mark, like the emotional beat with him and Bruce really hit. Like it hit me harder than anything in a comic has in quite a while. But I mean, I can't really argue with the. I share all the same complaints with the art changes. So I guess I will agree with the 8.5. Although I was tempted to.
I was tempted to go 9, but I'm like, am I going too high?
I mean, I'm tempted to go 9 too. I'm just being a little objective as best I can.
That's what I did too. That's why I was waiting to see what you did, because if you went 9, I was like, all right, 9. Agree. Whole number.
You're allowed to have a different rating, man.
No, but I do, because the art was a big holdup. Like, that's the one negative thing I can pull from this book.
All right.
From this issue, I should say.
Well, from one long issue to an even longer issue. Batman, One Bad Day, Bane, issue 1. Josh WIliamson writing with Howard Porter on the art. So this has been an interesting series of one-shots, focusing on different Bat villains. Did everyone read it for a start? I suppose we check that.
Yes, I did. Okay.
Yeah, okay, just checking. So this is a story set in a future where Bane has retired from being a villain and is a pro wrestler who relives his Batman fight with like a Batman jobber
I kind of love it because that's what wrestlers do, right? They just keep reliving their glory moments.
I think what I loved about it is I thought he actually broke the guy's back because he was like, I can't feel my legs, and then the next scene he comes in and says, "Hey, thanks for letting me, be your partner tonight." I'm like, "Oh, it was a work. It was a work."
He brothered him.
I got worked.
Let me just say real quick, and then I'll let you get onto this. This might be the first one that I did not like, and I should have liked it.
I'm really mixed. I think I like I like it as a story. I like it as an issue. I don't like it in the sense of, oh look, this is another villain that we're taking and we're making him.
Well, I'm
not a villain.
I'm fine with that because for me, Bane is one of those ones that I really came to like because of Gale's Gale's Secret Six.
Same difference. It's Suicide Squad by a different name.
Yeah, right.
This is even more extreme than what was in that book, where he's outright almost a good guy.
I think I'm okay with that part of it, Connor, just because this is set in a future that is after every other story we'll ever get, if that makes sense. Like, in theory, we shouldn't get this in like any present day continuity because it's all set afterwards.
No, I don't know if it's set that much later though. Like,
I mean, he's old enough that he's retirement age or whatever that means. For Bane, right?
That's felt like Bane's Dark Knight Returns, like sort of style of story to me.
Marvel has the end stories, which are supposed to be like the last story. This felt like Bane the end and not One Bad Day, because there's nothing about this that fits to me with the theme of One Bad Day.
Honestly, the One Bad Day theming, it feels like it's just went off the rails completely, because I feel this is not even the first one where it feels like it's about like Batman's having like a really like that first one with Tom King and Riddler. It was like Batman was being tested with how villainous Riddler was in that book. But most of them since then, I feel like have just been like, no, they just focus on a villain. They don't necessarily have to be
but with the Harvey Dent one with Two-Face, it was the One Bad Day from Harvey and Two-Face completely merging, right? We had Penguin and who else? Is that it so far?
Yeah, I think the Catwoman one got delayed because McKelvey is.
And then the Penguin one was what does Penguin look like recovering from One Bad Day?
Did we not have Mr. Freeze as well?
We did, yes.
Did we have the Freeze one?
Yeah. We had Freeze.
Okay. What was the Freeze one about? I read it.
It was more stuff with his wife, I'm pretty sure.
It was stuff with his wife, but I think it was like a slightly different spin on it, where it was
it was the one where he was like being really controlling with the wife's friends and stuff like that, right?
It was the idea that
that's right.
He was kind of obsessed and not really a great husband, and she already wanted to leave him, and so he was kind of like holding on to her, and it was the idea that her frozen was almost like a metaphor for him clinging to like the earlier, happier part of his marriage.
Right. So with this one, it didn't hit any of the One Bad Day, because what is meant to be Bane's One Bad Day?
It's the opposite. He kind of goes good. Right. It's a one good day.
Right. So,
well, to be fair, actually, his phrasing of it later on is that he thought the day that he broke the bat was this great day, but in hindsight, it's actually the worst day of his life because he really, it made him second guess everything he ever wanted.
Yeah.
So I suppose in that sense, that's what the One Bad Day is.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah,
but it's a tenuous link at best.
Yeah, so just on the theme of that, but then just some of the writing, and it kind of, for me, it plodded along. And again, I might have just been having my own bad day when I had read this, and a lot of the stuff just didn't land for me, and it felt just very, I don't know.
I think I liked it more than you did, Matt, because I mean, I didn't love it, but I thought it read well enough. I thought for a book of its 60, 70 pages, whatever it is, I thought it went in at a nice pace. And the flashbacks to kind of like the story of like how Bane says he killed the bat, and it sort of flashes back to this story where it was Batman and Bane tracking down all the venom because Bane wants to get rid of all of it, and Batman also does too, so they're sort of working together. And Bane in the future has like been told or has been informed of this new place that's making venom, this drug dealer effectively, and he wants to go and deal with it. And he goes along with this guy who tried to sell it to him, and by the end, the sort of the happy sort of end of the story is that Bane's kind of inspired to take this guy in and try and like make him better at the end of the story, which is fine.
Yeah, Bane becomes Batman.
Well, kind of. I'd say it's maybe more about reforming potential criminals.
He's got a Robin.
Yeah, he has his equivalent of his Robin. Yes.
Yeah. I will say I did love all the lucha stuff at the beginning with him, but but just with the pageantry that goes with Lucha Libre, and it really went in on that with Bane, calling him the Breaker of the Bat, and the son of Pentaduro, and the son of the Dragon, just all these big long names. Yeah. I think that Williamson really nailed that whole aspect, and then the lucha part in and of itself was really fun. But once we started getting into the drug, and the Venom stuff and all of that, I don't know. It just kind of, not that it went off the rails. It didn't.
I mean, I liked that it tied back in again to Venom, before Bane, which was like the doctor who created it, who ends up being the guy who's making it in the future. That's kind of the big reveal. And he kind of sees Bane as his masterpiece, like everyone, everything else he's done with it. Because there's another big villain here. What's his name? Grudge.
It's Grudge, who I think is Williamson created. Because I just tried to look him up and I can't find anything.
Sure.
Yeah. The stuff with the doctor taking the Bane, taking the Venom and kind of Baning out for a bit of a fight. It just really reminded me of the end of the first Arkham game with Joker. That
bit's kind of whatever. I mean, I took it as a moment of desperation because he doesn't want to lose. But I generally liked everything else that was going on. I thought I did a good job of selling that Bane's kind of the sad old man when he goes back to his big house, and there's a lot of silent pages where he's just kind of like drinking and kind of lonely.
Yeah, he's all this fame that he has for himself. He's still alone.
Yeah,
and he's made his own prison, and now he has to escape that prison. Which that's a theme that I do like. It's just a kind of like what Connor was saying about the not the video game aspects. I didn't play the game, but just him having to fight a Venom monster at the end, it didn't really seem to fit that that escaping the prison of his own design type thing, because it almost felt like he put himself in that prison because he felt responsible for Batman's death, Yeah,
although Bane also no-sells getting his back broken because the scientist guy, when he Bane's out, he breaks Bane's back the way that he did the Batman, and he gets up a couple pages later.
Batman did it, so why not?
Yeah, so it did make me think of Because Bane, and I think that's hilarious. Right?
Oh. That's pretty funny.
But yeah, I wanted to like this so much more. I should like it. I feel like Williamson catered it to my interest exactly, but it just, the back half of it really didn't land for me. I really enjoyed the first half, but it just kind of meanders a bit, so.
I don't know if I agree with the meandering per se. I don't think I had that problem. I think, it flows at a nice solid pace. Howard Porter's art does sort of work for the kind of the moodiness that it's going for. This kind of sadness.
The one page I didn't like was one of the fight scenes where we get like little tiny thumbnails.
That one's fair, that's a fair complaint.
I did not like that because there was way too much going on and it felt like was a placeholder.
It did a version of that in the wrestling early on.
The version of the wrestling though was like a 2-page layout, and even the smallest things were bigger. This page it was like sort of normal sized panels, and then they got smaller, and in the middle of the page they were like tiny, and then they started getting bigger again. So it was kind of like a symmetrical thing on the page. Right. But those middle panels, you couldn't really see what was in them. They were just little doodles, basically.
Felt like a placeholder, and he never got back to it. I'll do something in here, but no, Porter's art's fine. It really matches the disproportions that we get with Bane. Like sometimes when artists draw him, he's completely, especially when he's all juiced up. His like biceps have biceps, and I feel like Porter's art really gets in on that aspect. So like when you see all the Venom monsters, like that Grudge creature, very grotesque in the best way possible. So, and like Pete said, the moodiness that comes with it, like all the stuff in Mexico, I feel like is very well, because it feels like there's a sweatiness to his art, right? And so I'm thinking like the in Traffic, in Soderbergh's movie, he has that kind of tint over certain scenes that makes it feel grimy. That's what some of these scenes felt, and I think Porter really nailed that.
Yeah, he wants to fight Batman again. Because Batman promised that he would, and he's like, no, I'm not going to fight you like this, find a new reason to live, because Bane is basically just ready to die. But that's probably some of my favorite art in the book is probably that entire scene in the hospital room with Bane in the bed. It's very moody, the way Batman shows up in the corner of the room. It's got a nice, I think Howard Porter doesn't work with every character, and even at times I think in past Batman stories I've not really think he's worked, but I think here it works with the tone of all the story.
I think he excels in points in this issue. There's bits that I don't think are amazing, but then obviously this scene just before it, at the end of the fight where everything's in flames, I think looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a panel with the reflection in the glasses at the bottom.
Yeah,
that I think is probably the best looking, just visually speaking, probably the best looking panel in the book. But then there are other times where I think he struggles with hands, and I think especially with Bane's large hands, it shows up even more as like these just look a bit weird.
There's almost maybe like a meta thing going on with this book as well. The idea that, like, whenever you bring up Bane, like, his one claim to fame is that he's the guy that beat Batman in the 90s, and he always referred back to that one incident, and it's not he's not really been allowed to move on. And obviously, like, Tom King tried to do like a great big Bane story where he brought him back to prominence and stuff. Like, so writers have tried, but maybe this is the idea that could we start bringing up that he beat Batman once and move on to do other things with him.
Yeah, he's never topped that. He probably never will.
Nah, probably not.
Like from a story perspective, from a story
perspective, but in character wise, he's had some great moments, and again, but most of them came from Gail Simone and Secret Six, where he's playing the straight man to all these characters, but they're not these big moments. So, because is he still currently dead because of Joker, the Joker War?
Well, no, because remember we were reading the Jason Todd book, the Task Force Z.
Oh, that's right.
All that shenanigans and
that's right.
So I don't think he is.
Yeah.
But hey, all right. What are you giving the book, Connor?
I think I'll give it a 6.5. I like it mostly, but I don't love it.
Matt's like, wait a minute, that's like lower than my score, and I was the one who was negative.
Matt was handing out, about to give it an 8 or something.
What are you giving it, Matt?
I was gonna give it a 7.
Still give it a 7, I think.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 7. It's good to have Connor back.
Well, I'm giving it a 7 too. It's just that your descriptions and your ratings, Matt, don't always go hand in hand.
Matt's it felt like a 4 or a 5 at best.
Yeah.
Oh, wild stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Rating things is still stupid, especially when Connor's around, because me and Pete have been lighting up a lot on stuff.
I don't think on this, mine and Pete's are that far apart. I think mine
pretty similar.
Point lower, probably justified with what we said.
Yeah, no, I know.
All right. The Flash 791. Jeremy Adams writing, Roger Cruz on the art. This is the second part of the 1 Minute War, which is our big story of the invading alien force, which has slowed down time, so only the speedsters are actually kind of aware of it, and everyone else is kind of frozen still. And this issue is mostly about most of the Flash family characters kind of just sort of coming together and assessing the damage. We kind of predicted correctly that Jay, young Jay, would be affected by this because he's not a speedster in powers. So it seems like he saved everyone by holding a tree in front of them when the shockwave hit, but like he is now, which leads to this funny thing where they're kind of like bringing all the non-speedsters out of the house to keep them safe because they're all just sort of like sitting or lying there. So you can see them sort of carrying like Mr. Terrific in and stuff.
The Mr. Terrific part really cracked me up.
Yeah, I actually chuckle out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get the sense of scale of this ship that's arrived, and all these like alien tanks come out of it. The Kid Flashes kind of argue about like that, and Jay ends up grabbing them. I
love that Jay has to show up and be the adult in the room, right? Like, all right, guys, you gotta be quiet because they're doing. I also like when Jesse shows up and points out, which this is something I missed, that spire is from the Mad Max world that we saw when they were running around.
Yeah, I did not remember that at all.
I did not either.
Yeah.
So, so that Barry from the Mad Max world, that's a world where these, the colony or whatever they're called, has already taken over.
Yeah, so they're not just going through planet to planet in space. They're going, from multiverse, through the multiverse to different worlds. So that's very interesting, and they're kind of excited that there's so many speedsters around because they can detect that there's like X number of speedsters. Like, wait, there's 5 in the immediate area. What?
5 organic. What do they call them? 5 organic.
Oh, yeah, I think you can find the word they use for them.
So they even look at the Speed Force completely different, which I do like. It gives this conquering group.
The phrase, Matt, was organic conduit. There's 5 conduits. Yes.
Yeah.
Which the Empress will be delighted by if they can nab them. So we set up this kind of hierarchy a little bit. We see some of the villains. But yeah, so there's some Empress at the top of this regime, whoever they are. There was a name that was used for them here somewhere.
So I thought it was like the colony or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was something simple like that. It wasn't like a super in-depth name. But regardless,
you keep going. I'll find it.
Yeah. So yeah, we see like, you know, Max Mercury takes out one of the alien guys on a speed bike, because obviously these beings are all unaffected by whatever they're doing to space and time, other than the speedsters obviously. But yeah, basically the family all emerge, and the big thing is that it looks like Iris is dead. Now, I'm glad that they're treating it with some weight, and like Barry refusing to let go of her is all very sweet. It does kind of feel like it's not going to stick though. I feel like somehow Iris will be alive again at the end of this arc.
Oh yeah,
that's what it feels like to me.
So they're called the Fraction.
That's what it was. The Fraction.
The Fraction. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I agree about that. But with Iris, just because it feels like they're in between heartbeats right now, right? Like, you know, they're still moving it, you know, this through the Speed Force against these guys, and I do feel like it'll be one of those things that the Flash family comes together to solve this, you know, with Iris.
Now, it's worth mentioning, there's a reveal at the end for a villain. I don't think this is the Empress, though. I got the impression this was like a dangerous, like, high-ranking person in their system, but it's not it's not their Empress. But we get the reveal of someone who's coming to hunt the speedsters called Miss Murder, and it's kind of a weird, like, there's a little bit of Batman Who Laughs in the design of this character, which is a bit weird.
Because they did talk about that they picked her up amongst their travels.
Yeah. So curious to see. I have to say, I don't love the design of this character, but it's the only thing I don't like about the issue, because everything else I like. Like, all the Flash family members sort of coming together, Wallace and Bart like bickering and being kind of, you know, trying to one up each other a little bit is kind of entertaining, like all that stuff. And then just the setting up that, again, I love the concept of this entire arc, which is, you know, this entity, this alien force have frozen time, and they're just going to go around and collect everything they want whilst everyone's frozen. But the speedsters are the only ones who are like aware of what's going on and can try and stop them. That is such a strong concept that just seeing like the villains like maneuver their troops and their tanks and like sort of talk about their plans is interesting right now. I'm curious like how this is going to play out. So really strong concept.
So they called her the Hunter, right? So it feels like there's a kind of how like Darkseid has the Furies, right? And they send the Furies out and the Parademons. This feels along the same lines.
This feels like the wild card lieutenant that gets sent out to like deal with the tough problems. Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, we don't know much about the Fraction and if they are, you know, in the Speed Force as well. But if they said they picked her up on the Dark World, and now that after, you know, what we know about the multiverse and all this other stuff.
I assume that was just one of the dark.
Yeah.
You know,
one of the other ones.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, I hate the design of this character. It's ridiculous and stupid and bad. But everything the story's doing, I'm really liking.
Yes.
This arc still has a lot of potential to be like. And I say this having enjoyed the run, but this arc could easily be the best arc of the whole run, if it sticks to its potential that's been, you know, here in these first couple issues. So, and they are solid, you know. Cruz still doing a good job. You know, I still don't like him as much as the previous artist, but solid enough. Some nice moments with the various characters.
Yeah.
So
still a fan of seeing all these other peripheral Flash family characters like Josie Quick and Max Mercury. You know, get some shine.
There's a real embracing of like legacy in a lot of the books right now at DC, and it's delightful to see, given how much that was like a no-no whilst Didio was still at the helm.
Yeah. Well, like again, I feel like a lot of this stuff couldn't happen. I feel like he didn't like the idea of Dick and Wally having their own books, so that's why we didn't get them forever. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why Rick Grayson was created, you know, to spite people like us. But yeah, so the fact that both of these, you know, characters are in their own books, and Nightwing's never been better, and the Flash is really strong right now, you know, for Wally's book. I'm taking that stuff as a win.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm enjoying the book. It's weird getting an issue a week after the last issue, and I did check actually after the show. The last one was delayed a week or two, and that's why they were right next to each other. Because I knew that felt weird.
Yeah,
that they were back to back weeks.
For sure.
But no, having fun with this arc. What are you giving the issue, Matt?
I'm giving this 7.5.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. So, well, I'll still go with the 8. I think I'm not going to let the design of that character put me down too much. So 8 out of 10 for me. All right. Lazarus Planet, Assault on Krypton, issue 1, and this is actually an anthology book with 4 stories, so there's a bunch of creatives that we'll get to as we're going through them. I did not know this was going to be 4 different stories. I was kind of expecting it to be just one thing that was, 40, 50 pages.
This is the most tenuous tie-in to an event I might have ever seen.
Well,
you didn't read a lot of the Dark Crisis ones, did you?
Well, here's the weird thing about this, is that this to me feels like one of those tie-ins to an event where, and we got a couple of them in Dark Crisis where it's like, here's a little anthology one shot, it's about 50 pages, but it has like 4 stories in it, and it feels just kind of like if you want to, bit of extra fluff. What's weird about this is that the main event of this is only 2 issues. We had the 1 issue already, and we'll have the Omega issue, end of next month. And after reading this, I'm like, how relevant are any of these one shots that are coming out going to be to the actual main thing?
I don't even dislike all the stories in this, but they all feel. I guess the very first one with Dreamer is the most relevant. Yeah,
because it mentions fate and the helmet and all that stuff.
The rest of them, one of them's a tease for the Superman book, the John Kent stuff coming up.
Then there's the Action Comics back up with Power Girl.
Yeah. This is kind of nothing really to do with this Lazarus Planet.
Well, it's feeling like Lazarus Planet is being used as an inciting incident for things going forward.
Because John having electric powers is a setup in this.
It's reminding me a little bit of the Infinite Frontier stuff.
Yeah,
but the early, not the event itself, but we had the Arkham explosion issue. It's reminding me of that, just really stretched out over all these different books.
I wasn't very fond of this one shot. It's not necessarily that all of it's necessarily bad. It's just that I found it to be really tedious to get through, and in a week where I had 8 other books, some of which were quite meaty, I was I was begrudging this book as I was reading it. It's
definitely made me look at the rest of these that are coming up and be like, well, do I need to read any of these?
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll probably still try the next one, but I did have a feeling as I was reading this, I'm like this is making me not want to read any of these.
Bro, you're right in my mind, because that's what if this had come out on a week that didn't have Bane and Nightwing 100, right? I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. But going through and getting to the Mercy story and being like, I still have half a book left.
See, when I got to the end of the first story and realized, it's going to be 4 shorts, I was like, oh god, there's 3 more. That was my feeling.
Yeah, and again, not that there's anything wrong with most of the stories, because I don't feel like they're bad necessarily. It's just on a week that I already have a pack, they just feel superfluous.
It's the same problem I have when we have books like this, which is a bunch of 10 to 12 page stories, some 8-page stories even. Is I always have this feeling of few of them actually end up feeling like actual stories. They feel like little snippets to set up something for later, and I never really find them enjoyable that much to read on their own. There's the odd exception, there was that one Tom Taylor Supergirl story in that anthology 4 years ago that was really good, but by and large, very few of them end up standing out, and I end up just feeling annoyed that I read them. And this kind of felt like that to me. So the idea that I've got 7 more of these.
I'm looking at the next one now just to see kind of, do I want to? And the next one's the We Were Once Gods.
Yeah, okay. I guess I kind of want to read that because of the Shazam relevance.
It's got Dan Waters writing. It's got Philip Kennedy Johnson, Josie Campbell, and it's got Manapul on writing and art.
So that's a much better list of creators, because the creator list in this is not that exciting.
Well, and also calling this the Assault on Krypton, and then
well, all it really means is that they're mostly super related characters. It's Dreamer, it's John Kent, it's Power Girl, and it's Mercy, who's one of the villains. So it's all it's just characters related to Superman is what the umbrella is here.
Right, but what got me was the blurb on the setup page.
Oh yeah, the opening page that tells you of like the story of like, oh, once upon a time in Krypton there was a volcano,
and I was like, what?
Yeah,
this is. And then it was completely irrelevant to anything in the rest of it.
Because I was like, oh, we're gonna get a story about how this relates to Kal-El and Kara, or even
thematically,
right?
You know, the idea that like
straight up thought they were going to use Dreamer as a framing device to show us.
Me too.
Oh, this is what happened on Krypton.
Yep. And then not at all.
None of it. No. Yeah, I did not like then. Like, you know, so you got Nicole Maines writing the first story, which is the Dreamer story. Which, you know, fair enough. And you got Skylar Partridge on art. And
like, so I think that is by far the most relevant of these.
And it's also the only I want to say that I didn't even recognize the other writers. Like, I only know who Nicole Maines is because she's the actor from the show.
Yeah.
The other writers.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm forgetting someone obvious, but when I was going through it, I didn't remember.
Second team, C.S. Pacat.
I don't really know.
Is writing, and Scott Godlewski on art, which
Godlewski I know, but yeah, but like, Pacat I don't know.
The Mercy story was Frank Barbier.
I know that name.
He did some stuff.
I've heard
recently.
of the name.
Yeah, and Sammy Basri on art, which again we've seen pop up on it. And honestly, on a lot of these shorter stories in backups and things like that.
Yeah, okay. But
the last one is Leah Williams, who I have read. I've seen she's done a fair bit of Marvel work.
Okay, well, I don't know.
And then Margaret Savage.
It was a weird, like, because normally you have at least one of those stories will be a big name, like a big name to comic to readers who are like, okay, you've got your Mark Waid in the first story, and then the other three are, you know, people who were given backups to like, you know, test them out, stretch their legs. You know, and
which it seems like they're treating Nicole Maines as the the big name here, which I guess in the grand scheme of these, she kind of is.
Yeah, but not from like a reading perspective.
She's written like a handful of Dreamer things at this point. I think it's notable to me that this is the first time I've seen her with a credit without a co-writer.
That's true.
Remember.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I appreciate that she has a complete grasp on her character. That like, and so the stuff to dealing with Dreamer feels right, if that makes any sense, right? Some of the other dialogue between some of the other characters I felt was off, but that's, I feel like, someone that's not familiar with writing comics, right?
Yeah, you can acknowledge that she's still relatively new at this.
But like once Dreamer got to the Khalid dream where he's a doctor, and you know she pops out of the closet and he starts questioning things. He's like, no, you're not. You're Dr. Fate. And he's like, no. I felt like all that stuff really landed really well.
That was the fun concept part of it, because once there's a lot of setup to get to that point, but once you get to that point, it's like, okay, this idea that she's went into his dream, but he's having like a random dream where he's like a doctor, like in a hospital, and like there's some jokes to be had with that, and then of course Naboo like reaches out to her, and you know she ends up going into wherever, but
I like the idea too that a Lord of Order is going to reach out to Dreamer because of how the powers work and whatever. You know, it's all about fixing things and keeping order versus chaos. Yeah. So,
but there was a couple of details in it I liked, but I was expecting something a bit more impactful. And the first story is usually the most important one, so this one feeling like just okay made me feel really down about the rest of the issue.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say I did not like the John story that much because the voices felt off. You know, at least John's voice felt a little bit off compared to what we've been reading in Taylor's, you know, book.
Yeah. I mean, John's story is him with he basically catches this thief who's looting during everything, and this guy's
stealing like nice clothes and stuff, which was funny.
But this guy, like a lot of people during this Lazarus Planet crisis, is randomly been given powers because of the Lazarus
lava powers
in there. Yeah, so he ends up helping John, and John's trying to tell him how to be a hero, but he's still kind of nefarious in some ways, and you know whatever. But it ends with him like stealing John's cape. But the big thing though is that when he first encounters him, that John sort of like his powers conk out, but he has like a sort of an electric moment. So and obviously we know we're doing Electric Superman with John coming up. So this is the setup for that. The actual story and interactions he has with this other character though, I didn't really get much out of it, really.
No.
I will
it's
say
just like to be continued in what I think is the Tom Taylor.
Yeah, it is.
Coming up. So
yeah.
I suspect I'm going to enjoy that more than I did this setup issue.
I really hope so.
I like the cut of the character's jib, right? Because he's, kind of razzing John this whole time for being a Boy Scout, and where he's like, "Is it still looting if you're stealing from people that are already stealing?" And John's like, "Yes, it's still bad." So that stuff worked, but some of the other, him having volcano powers and John being like, "I hate volcanoes," and it reminded me of the sand stuff and Attack of the Clones. It just wasn't there.
Well,
so
that's one of the worst movies ever made, Matt. So great comparison.
What I'm saying. That's what it reminded me of. Oh
dear.
But we're gonna jump to the Mercy story because that one I kind of enjoyed.
I didn't. It's because all it is Mercy's hand basically. Mm-hmm. She's got like a cyborg style hand now that can turn into a cannon or like a metal claw, and that's her power.
Matt, just like the giant wolf things with the
probably.
I like her fighting monsters. And I like her pointing out to Lex, where Lex was like, let him go, and she's like, well, no, that's where all of the servers are that are all your like financial stuff. I was like, okay, go save it. And I just like after the last two or three character interactions were kind of like, this one was a step up.
It just felt like a nothing story to me. And so and while we're on it, the Power Girl story that comes last, it's her falling through lots of pretty colors for about 10 pages, and then she runs into Omen.
It's Savage doing what Savage does, right?
Which means it looks great.
Looks great. But I almost kind of wish it was almost like a silent story where I could just enjoy the art, because I have no idea what was going on.
I don't know. So, some of these faces have got like these dead like eyes. There's this like weird like sex doll quality to the eyes where they're just like looking into my soul.
Yeah, no, there's a few panels like that where the faces aren't spot on, but it's the colors and just the layouts are gorgeous.
Yeah. But just like I forgot what happened to Power Girl in Lazarus Planet Alpha, and I just read that last week.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
Which is it the one where there's a panel where it says likewise?
Are you asking me?
What?
Yeah, is that the panel you're looking at?
That's one of them. Is that one? And the page after, when they're flying alongside each other, it's Lilith looking at her. I also think that one looks quite creepy.
Yeah.
She looks like Megan from Megan. She looks like she's got the like, I'm going to kill you because I'm a killer doll look in her face.
Yeah, but we also get the phrase wing doodle in there,
Yeah.
Matt, I hate so many things that you choose to be.
The fact that you hate that so much makes me like it so much more. So, that's just
for the audio listeners. Matt gave me a pause there when I said that.
Yeah. Look, we all know my track record with recognizing redheaded characters. I had no idea this was Omen. I was like, oh, what's Ivy doing here? And why is she dressed like that?
And then she goes, I'm Omen, by the way. You're like, cool.
What?
Amusingly, I actually immediately got that this was Omen, despite my record of red-headed characters possibly being mistaken.
Which is significantly worse.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's just that nothing. Like, see these books where it's like a bunch of 10 to 12 page stories. Mm-hmm. I end up feeling like they're mostly worthless. Like I find very few of them actually worthwhile reads because they don't have time to tell a story.
Yeah.
And then they charge you $8 for the pleasure of feeling like it was worthless.
Yep. Well, I had to spend extra money at the shop this week to get a discount, so this helped me put me over.
Honestly, what this bit convinced me of is that I can skip all of these one shots. I probably won't skip the next one because that was a good list of creators. But I could theoretically skip all of these one shots, come back to the Omega issue, and that'll be fine to read.
What about the 4-issue mini one?
Oh, that comes after?
That was in the that was in the solicits.
Well, that's a 4-issue mini, so at least that has a chance of being a story.
But that also feels like it's cleaning up threads from Wonder Woman, which we haven't been reading because it's Clunan and
yeah, but it's also Wilson and it's also dealing with Shazam stuff.
Yeah, if the Shazam stuff's important, like if the Shazam story in this next thing feels like it's leading into that, then
I'll read it. Yeah.
Then it may be worth reading if you're enjoying that.
Had I not got my discount from after buying this book, I would have been a lot more upset.
Yeah,
You know?
I cannot recommend this, and I will say that these one shots are now on notice for me. Like, you know, it depends who the creators are, and it depends like how many books I have that week. These will be the first thing that is cut if I am not even like sensing a whiff of talent.
Yeah,
my nostrils will be out and sniffing out quality.
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right,
Pete said one shots are on site now.
Matt, what are you rating Lazarus Planet Assault on Krypton?
I'm giving this a 6.
Generous. Connor, what you give it?
I'm going to give it a 4, but also I am going to retract the previous statement. This was only $5, not $8. But, I mean, that's still too much.
Still too much.
Still help me get my discount. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with a 4.
Yeah.
All
right. Then I'm going to give it a 4.5. strike the 6 from the record.
No, don't strike it. You give it a 6.
Yes.
You have to live with that 6.
No. Hey, I was able to change my.
We can only accept your first answer.
Dang it. Motion to go last for now on.
No, in fact, if anything, I'm going to go to you first every time, just for the shenanigans.
Well, now we're getting
of
the books that I really liked, so now I'm back to overgrading now.
Oh dear. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how many of these Lazarus Planet books I actually read now. But Batman, Superman, World's Finest, issue 11, Mark Waid writing with Dan Mora on art. So, here we go. It's the now you weren't here for the last issue, Connor, but me and Matt both loved the reveal at the end of it. I don't know how you felt about the reveal of who David actually is. You're such a disappointment.
I'm sorry. It's fine.
Such a disappointment.
With the color coming off of your,
would have such a strong reaction to it.
I was just,
we weren't expecting it.
It was so unexpected that page turned to Magog was just like, oh, Mark Waid, you sly bastard.
Can I point something out right now? That with Connor's paleness and his red hair and wearing, I don't know what color shirt that is, but
it's
in my screen it looks
blue.
Well, it looks purple. You look like the second coming of Alexander Luthor. So I just want to point this out to everybody.
Yeah. It is a light blue, like maybe a touch lighter than a sky blue, I would say.
Okay, well, you're looking like Alexander Luthor, so it's cracking me up.
There are worse comparisons.
There are, but no, yeah, I kind of expected Connor not to be a big fan of that.
I'm not mad at it. I don't dislike it. I just wasn't like, oh, look at that, that's amazing.
I thought it was a
particularly strong reaction either way. I thought,
imagine Clint Howard with like a ginger goatee. I feel like that's a perfect comparison.
That's mean, but hey, kind of a compliment because Bryce is, great.
Yes, you're right. It's mean to Clint Howard. I'm sorry, Clint, for that insult.
Boys, we're back. We're gonna have this kind of. Connor, I just want to let you know, Pete doesn't insult me like this. It's not special. Okay. World's Finest.
World's Finest.
I really don't like the Key. I just as a character. But I feel like we're not supposed to like him, right?
I mean, it doesn't really matter to me too much in this issue because what I enjoyed was like the characters dealing with David's like outburst and like Superman having that moment where he's going to take his powers away and
not like that at all. Like the idea that he even had that as a plan, I thought was wildly out of character.
Well, I feel like it's just for me how I'm justifying it as a Superman fan was like that chamber was there because David couldn't control things.
Well, I didn't think that chamber was there specifically for David. I think that chamber was just something that was in the fortress because I think you'll remember Superman 2 has a similar chamber in it.
Well, I'm not opposed to the thing in the fortress existing. It just it is there, right? I mean, but Superman has this already. This is the plan. As you know, this was always the backup plan, and I really don't like that.
I think it's more about the fact that it's Batman and Superman's plan. So I take this as the cold hard logic of Batman, who is pushing for it, and ultimately Superman can't go through with it. He's going to do it, and he's like, no, there has to be another way. This is like taking away his natural gifts is not what I want to do. And you never really get to know if that'll pay off or not because obviously he's at the end of the issue he's whisked away to another Earth where he meets Gog. Who will raise him to be Magog.
Right, which is with everything else that's going on too, that we've got with the fourth world. Gog was a god of the third world. So it plays into that Kirby mythology and stuff, which is why Waid's kind of perfect for this kind of story. Playing in the meta sense. But yeah, just the stuff with the key and him, the hypnotizing and having a backdoor key and stuff, and it's just like he's kind of the silly villain that I'm just like, all right.
Hey, this is an issue of silly villains though, because we get Bag of Bones, Acid Master, Dr. Phoenix, the Abominable Snowman, and
we get a team of red shirt villains.
And Ferlin Nixley and his Devil's Harp, which is a devil's head with a harp between the horns.
Yep. That guy, the guy that looks like Pan with the Devil's Harp, I want more of him. Like Pete wants more of Cold Snap. Please.
We got new ice villains here though. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. I do think Acid Master's a great name though.
Yeah. But Acid Master sounds like someone that's going up against hippies, right? Like,
I mean, I don't know, if you slap like a radioactive symbol on their chest, like I wouldn't think that. I would think no, he's going to spray like acid at people.
Yeah.
Two-Face's worst nightmare.
He is. So
yeah, he's a new villain, but Two-Face takes like a personal like offense to it. He's like, no, wait a minute, no, this is
I'm in this.
This is exactly what
he's like. I'm not murdering anybody anymore. I'm turning a new leaf. Aspect shows up. He's like, after this guy.
Did you describe the current Detective Comics plot?
Kind of, just a little bit. Maybe that's where I was inspired from. But no, the stuff with David at the end as he's fading and getting into the ship and talking with Superman and Batman. That is some prime, Waid and Mora working perfectly together.
I'll tell you what I really liked in this issue. I like that Batman's not there for a good while, so it's Superman and Robin who are like dealing with the fact that the Key's releasing things in the fortress and stuff. I really like this. It was just kind of a natural vibe to the conversation and the way they were talking to each other, where it was like, okay, David's kind of this new guy who's kind of untrustworthy, to actually take responsibility. But the way Superman talks to Robin, it's like, no, you're the one here who I trust to actually help me with the I don't know, it felt like this sort of like, it almost tied in really well with what was going on in Nightwing this week, where it's like, even at this stage, like Superman already has this relationship with Dick Grayson and trusts him as kind of the senior pupil, as it were. And seeing them work together as like this pair in the fortress against all these threats was kind of a nice dynamic, I thought. So I really like that, and then I did like the ending with David like fading away because the Key did something to the ship he came in, which was making him like vibrate out of this multiverse and into another. Yeah, I liked all that, and like them trying to give him like words of like encouragement before he goes, just to hope that wherever he goes, he's not going to turn into a darker character by his surroundings. And of course, we see that well, that was a bit futile, but
yeah.
He's off to go gain armor and pouches.
It would not surprise me though if we get a Magog story set in present day, either in this book or down the line from Waid, where he plays on this idea that Magog has this history with Superman and the others from his teen years that might come up. I could see that happening.
Yeah,
kind of like an addendum to Kingdom kind of themes, but now, not in the future, right?
Yeah. I would expect it if it does happen, probably somewhere in this book.
Yeah, it's probably mostly. I'm just thinking in case they never do a time jump, maybe they'll, do it somewhere else. But I really don't know. I suspect it'll probably happen in some capacity. But obviously the art from Mora's fantastic throughout.
He made a devil harp look cool. Mora's the guy.
Batman's entrance looks great. Superman and Robin look fantastic. It does a neat job of like making the colors pop, like because obviously they're in the fortress a lot of the issues, so there's a lot of like sort of like pale blue and white ice. So when you see like the green of Robin's colors like clash against it, everything really sticks out. Very vibrant as the colors have been throughout on this book. Spawn villain, I think, on the colors. What I say? So
I don't know without checking, but I mean, it looks like it could be.
Yeah. Even that full page spread of all these like C-list, maybe that's generous. D-list villains.
It is Bond villain, yeah. I mean, they have a history of working with Dan Mora, so that makes sense.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Yeah. I find like even if like the Waid will do like weird Silver Age style stories at times that don't always necessarily completely vibe with me, but I feel like they're always very easy to read. Like he just has like a way around the characters that just works. So, oh, I dug the issue.
I feel like he really understands all the DC characters, right? Like, which is why I'm glad he's back at DC.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, but I say that, but I feel like that's just him as a writer because I also love his Daredevil a whole lot.
He's yeah. Apparently, next time we're getting Superboy and Robin on a date from hell, is what it says. So now that this is more firmly established into supposed to be in continuity, I'm curious to see what he does with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, have some fun with it.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think you meant Supergirl and Robin.
What did I say?
Superboy and Robin.
I meant Supergirl. Yes, that's my.
Yeah,
that's a slip.
But Connor, I was gonna let the corrections come.
Yeah, Supergirl. Yeah. Well, they already set it up because they had that bickering back in the first arc that sounded like they were
back in the first arc.
Yeah, so that's fun to be had. It's also funny that the issue starts with Batman checking if Joker's alive. He's like, oh, he's alive. You know, not that I was like rooting for either way, but yeah,
he just states it as a fact.
Yes,
he is alive.
Yes,
and then sighs.
Get him to Gotham General to patch him up. Imagine being the doctors.
Arkham, actually, don't
Oh, is it Arkham? Whatever it says.
Medical Bay. Yeah.
I'm not looking at the page, but yeah, I just imagine being the doctors patching up the Joker, like they're just looking around each other in the surgery room, just going like, "Did we just slip and say, accident happened?"
That's exactly why doctors take a Hippocratic oath, just so they can't just do that when it's the Joker.
I feel like if someone was as bad as the Joker, though, like even that would be tested.
Who's requesting the medical inquest of the Joker's autopsy, though?
Oh, that's right. Everyone up the chain's like, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Accidents happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Then. Okay. What are you giving World's Finest, Matt?
I mean, it was an 8.
Connor?
I'll give it a 7. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll agree with the 8 out of 10. Solid fun stuff. All right. Where are we in this list? The New Champion of Shazam, issue 4. Josie Campbell writing with Doc Schneider on art. This is the final issue of this miniseries, so we get our conclusion. And Mary goes off to the college. Now we know that the professor is the villain, although we get a reveal as to who she really is later in the issue.
Yeah, let's slow build to that.
Yeah. So she tells the rest of them to sort of stay back, and then she's going to go and save the day. And goes to the college, and the professor's like talking over the radio system and taunting her. Basically, she wants to recruit her, but she sends her alligators after her. We got all these.
I love also what Josie Campbell's saying about technology here is that like when we start to get to the villain and their plan is they found out that they can use phones as a receptacle and a battery for magic. And that through that, it can corrupt. So it's almost like this thing that connects us can also corrupt us.
Yeah, and it's also draining that power. Like she basically explains that every person has at least a little bit of magical energy in them. They just don't know how to harness it. So all the homeless people, and then also obviously Mary's adoptive parents, that they've been captured. They're basically all just like tied to like beds or posts. And they're being drained of this magical energy to funnel the villains that are going around with the phone strapped to their chest.
With the phone strapped to right. But what I was going to say, too, is like, but that's also kind of like the force of Shazam that we've seen, right? That it can connect all of them like it has with the family, but it's also can corrupt like it did with Black Adam. So just on this tiered structure, I just like what Campbell's, doing here. And yeah,
and Shainer's art is obviously like,
It was always the selling point of the book to begin with when it was back when it was announced.
Yeah, I mean, I actually
originally was announced as a writer as well. Right?
Yeah, I actually think I didn't really know Josie Campbell. This has made me a fan. Like this has made me want to read more Josie Campbell because I think it's actually a really solidly written book. But so she sends out her 3 hench students that have got the phone strapped to their chest. Yeah, the TAs we'll call them. And they have this big fight in the baseball field. Do you know what? There's something, and this is why we need more Shazam books. There's something so satisfying about when they say the word in the middle of a fight, either to turn into Shazam or turn out of Shazam. But when it's used effectively, it's such a great moment. So this idea that she uses it to strike them with lightning to to break the circuit so they all fry, not to kill them.
She's explaining to them, right? Like, hey, like I might not be the teacher's assistant, or anything, but I do understand electronics that if you overload the circuit, the whole thing fails. And then she hits it with and then she, goes to save the day as Mary, not as Mary Marvel.
I love that panel though, because with the lightning bolt going through her, where she's already turned back into Mary, so she's sort of falling out.
She's dropping.
Like I just think it's a really cool visual. Because normally it's the other way around, because you want the big splash page of she says Shazam, and then she's now she's Shazam. Like you want that big. This is the flip of it, where turning into the human version is what's saving the day, kind of thing. There's a nice bit of message in there. But
who really saves the day?
Go on.
The rabbit.
Yeah.
The rabbit does help.
Hoppy does.
Hoppy does save the day.
It does help.
Yeah. But we find out that the teacher here, her real name is Dr. Georgia Savannah.
Of course. And
this is
that reveal page, and what Shaner does with the glasses to make her look like Dr. Savannah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Although I do like though that she doesn't like her dad. Like she's trying to one up him basically.
Because that he freed all this, the 7 deadly sins. He looked at magic like it's a silly thing, but I'm gonna fuse science and magic, and that's a great twist on the Savannahs, right?
Yeah, it's also kind of nice that like it means that Mary has a villain that's a bit more tied to her specifically. It's maybe obviously it's a bit easy to say, it's the female version can be her villain, but this was an interesting little swerve that felt a little bit different.
But there is a difference there. It's not just the female version of Savannah; it's a different version.
And it's interesting she's got a similar, if twisted, version of the same motivation that Mary has here. In that she's living up to a legacy, but also wants to be her own thing, and there's that parallel there. Yeah,
if anything, it dips into that idea of the villain's kind of like the hero, just like an evil version of it. Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on. She's got 3 phones strapped to her chest, and she's about to go super and fight Mary. Which again, we get a great transition into Mary as Shazam, with the lightning around her hand at first, and then her feet, and then her entire body's just glowing gold, and then you get the full Shazam lightning bolt where she's still yellow. Like she's still the same color as the lightning. The color's not settled yet, so it's like your mid flash of light, but you still see her through it. So it's a phenomenal pit. The art is gorgeous throughout, and the lightning strikes Savannah, Georgia Savannah through the chest. So really good stuff. Then the rabbit and Darla's there. That's the other thing. Darla snuck off to try and help. So that raised the stakes, because now the little kid's also in danger. Really good stuff. So Mary has to lift up because the entire campus is starting to crumble because of all the fighting and lightning bolts and whatnot. So Mary has to lift up the whole thing. You get your big sort of heroic moment.
Literally putting everything on her shoulders. Also,
there's that full page spread of her holding up one of the beams. She's helping someone up in costume, and that's when Darla's telling everyone, no, she's not called Miss this or that. She and I love how it cuts it off, because calling her Miss Marvel might be a copyright problem or a trademark problem. So no, she's Shazam, and that sets up that. So so the book ends with her going off to try and she hears a call effectively coming, and wants to go and figure out what's going on. She looks up in the sky, and it looks like it might be Billy is Shazam in the sky. I actually thought they might swerve us here, and it might be Black Adam outside.
That's what I thought, considering where we left him off on Dark Crisis, right?
Yeah.
Kind of as this guy that wants to help the new generation. But then we get the Green Rain and whatever, and
Change with the Rock, yeah.
I mean, the last 2 pages are basically more about setting up where the next Shazam story is going to be, rather than being an ending to this. But I'm curious enough to want to check it out, and I really enjoyed this that I do want more Shazam. So
I guess you'll read in the Lazarus Planet one shot next week.
Yeah, but will I read any after that? That's the real question.
And here's the thing too, is like Shazam's been gone for so long, and I like Josie Campbell so much that I would not be adverse to, Mary as Shazam going forward.
Oh, for a long time, yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to be back to Billy within a matter of months. But
I've always liked the Mary character more than Billy, and that was just something as I was reading comics. There was plenty of Mary Marvel stuff going around. So So to see her come into her own on here.
Yeah, I mean, we've had
Campbell
these pockets of Shazam over the last few years, but maybe Shazam can't really just sustain ongoing anymore. But
I don't think Shazam can barely sustain the Geoff Johns one, right? Obviously, that had its own problems with all the delays. Probably didn't help. Right.
But I could see like sequels to this. I could see other 4-issue minis that are sequels, perhaps. Like that's what I'd hope for. Is give us some more of these. Yeah.
Or I mean, I'm even fine for team books where Mary shows up as the Shazam delegation or whatever. Like her just taking that mantle and letting Billy be off to the side for a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, though, this was a joy to read this 4-issue mini, and it's put a different writer on my map, which is always nice because it's one thing into a book where you like the writer already. It's nice when you discover a new one that you like. Because it's another name to add to the roster that I can be excited about when their name pops up on something.
I remember Tamaki was like that with us early on, and I think it was through Being Super.
It was Being Super. It was another. Super, It was that was also a 4-issue. Maybe that. No, it was 4 issues. That was a 4-issue book.
Yeah.
I think they might have been oversized issues though.
Yeah, I think they were, but that's something where she went over to Marvel for a bit, but then she ended up being this run of Detective, this run of Wonder Woman or what it says as well. So and I look forward to what Tamaki does next. Hopefully she gets something soon because obviously she's not really on anything right now.
Well, and so far when I go to look at what else Josie Campbell's worked on, it's Wonder Woman 797 and 798, which looks like those are coming up. And then from there, it's just the Green Lantern Future State special and then New Champion Shazam. So hopefully we get a lot of Josie Campbell at DC.
I would be down for more of her, for sure. So, all right, what are we giving New Champion Shazam, Matt?
I'm giving this a 9.
Ooh, Connor?
I'm going to give it an 8, which sounds harsh in comparison after that's 9, but I thought it was a really great ending to the mini. I really enjoyed it. I've nothing major to complain about. I just thought it didn't quite go over the top and wow me.
I'm going to split the difference and go 8.5. So very good. There you go. Stargirl, The Lost Children, issue 3. Geoff Johns writing with Todd Nauck on the art. So we're on the Orphan Island from the end of the last issue. Red Arrow was taken and has been imprisoned.
By an egg.
I
forgot about the egg for a hot second until they reminded us.
Yes, the robotic egg that came and kidnapped her. But more importantly, we're teased about who we're teased about two things. So we're teased about the childminder, who's the one who's actually in control on the island. But it also keeps teasing something we've not seen yet, which is like the I don't know,
foster father.
The foster father, the person who's actually really behind all this. So that's something for next issue, which they're teasing. But we do get to see what the childminder looks like, and she is like weirdly nightmare fuel.
From a Grimm's fairy tale first draft.
She's got like she's got like the raptor feet, and she's got like a mask that's a little bit jokery, and that it's like white with the red lips. But then she's also got feathers behind her head, and like it's very monstrous. It's is all I can say.
There's something about Johns and these characters, because Crib in Green Lantern was introduced in a similar way, and Crib's just basically like an old hag though. This was a new level, and especially someone that doesn't like birds and has a bird phobia. Her being very bird-like, do not like. It added an extra level for me. So
that's funny to me, bird phobia.
Yeah.
So obviously Stargirl's with the team of characters she ran into, Wing, Airwave, Cherry Bomb, and Robbie the robot dog. Thank you for all the character captions on that first page, Geoff. I appreciate it. So they basically find out that there is like a barrier to because Stargirl tries to fly away, and it's kind of like the island in Lost. There's a barrier, you can't just fly away. She finds that out the hard way, and they have to kind of like catch her when she comes down. But she's taken to their sort of lair, and it turns out there's a ton of like sidekick superheroes that have been like left here. And if I have a complaint about the issue, is that they're kind of fun to learn about these characters, but there is like a lot in the middle of the issue is just introducing us to a lot of characters.
Yeah, in case you didn't read all the captions in that special that came out months ago.
Here
we go again.
Yeah, so you get a bunch of these, but it's all charming enough. But the big thing though is that at the end of these introductions, Corky Baxter, the Time Master, shows up, and he's like sort of like, because there's a couple of like lines from Stargirl where she mentions or she's saying something about herself, and that she's like Pat's like, you know, stepdaughter or whatever, and someone's like, wait, but he's like Stripesy. He's too young to have a stepdaughter. So there's a lot of little things where they're picking up on that. Wait, what's going on here? And then someone says you're from the future, and then we're introduced to Corky, and it's like, wait a minute, he was in obviously Flashpoint Paradox, and you know, he's aware that she's from the future, or maybe not so much that she's from the future.
He's familiar with time dilation.
Yeah, this island clearly is moving slower in time than the rest of the world, and
and I like that they introduce that he's there because he's Rip Hunter's kid sidekick.
Yeah. So it's interesting that he's here and how this is going to tie into the overall stuff that Johns is doing. What I think is interesting, though, is like when Stargirl and Red Arrow get back, has there been a bit more time pass than they're expecting?
Right.
You know,
or is it going to be one of those things where when they bust out of here, you know, 4 seconds has passed, you know, and time...
Oh no,
time moved for them.
It would be the opposite, though, given the way that everything else has moved with these characters still being kids, because if anything, what I'd expect to happen is they'd get off this island, even though they're only there for a couple of days, and it would turn out that a year's passed in the real world. I could totally see that happening, and then obviously
maybe
Courtney's parents are going to be like, "Oh, where were you? We thought you'd been, you know, lost forever," kind of thing.
Yeah,
that would not surprise me.
Pissed.
Oh yeah,
she snuck out on this, right, too? Because she was supposed to be in trouble.
Oh yeah, she stuck out. Yeah. So that's really interesting. They mention, of course, you know, they tease Jay's daughter, and of course, the end of the issue is that he's in the cell next door. You know, Red Arrow tries to escape. Childminder can make her forget the last 5 minutes or 5 hours, depending on what she wants to do. And the voice next door who's talking to her explains that, and then the last page reveal is that her cellmate, or the cell next door, I should say, is Judy Garrick, who is the Boom. That's what her name is.
Well, but I like how they explained it. John's is like, you know, my dad's Jay Garrick, he's the flash of the lightning, and I'm the Boom that follows.
I wasn't complaining about the name. I thought the name was cool.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, I like that they explain it like in that way, and it's a very golden age way of introducing the character.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, I like that a lot.
It's a cute detail. And yeah, and she's like, you know, she's going to be key to maybe getting out of here. But we see that she's in chains and she's actually powering something. Like she's on a treadmill and it's like powering all this stuff around the room. So clearly she's probably powering the island, or maybe she's powering the time bubble barrier effect. That's it's something like that. Yeah.
It's not quite a cosmic treadmill, but it's along the same lines.
Yeah. It looks like she's the hamster on the hamster wheel powering the island or something. Yeah. So. Yeah, no, I had a good time with this issue. Maybe there's like a little bit too many characters that are being explained in the middle of the issue. But I will say, despite that fact, it moves surprisingly quick despite that. Because if I had described that to you, you'd probably think, oh, the middle of the issue must be a slog. It actually moves still quite a nice broad pace. The early stuff is fun, but I really like the Emmy stuff. Like Emmy like being kind of, you know, trying to like one up her captor. And like failing is fun, so I enjoyed that.
It was positively creepy. And the childminder.
I'm looking forward to all the sidekicks finding out that the real world has moved beyond them. Like, you know, like all the heroes that you were sidekicks for, they're all dead, most of them.
So who's Wing the sidekick for? Do we remember? Was it the Crimson Avenger?
I can't remember, but that sounds possible.
I'm gonna call my shot now, and that's who the foster father is. Because they play up that Wing was like the first, like that's John's doing the Seven Soldiers, you know, timey-wimey, and that Wing was the first of the sidekicks and made the legacy happen. And that they made a big deal, and I read these too close, but you know, John's Stargirl and then the Stargirl Spring Break special, we're making a big deal about the Crimson Avenger also being a villain. Like something had happened that made him. Also, and they kind of put it on Wing.
As much as I was saying maybe they'll come out in like a year's past or something like that.
Right.
Alternatively, what could happen is that when they all leave the island, they all go back to their own time, so it'll be like no time has passed. So what it'll do is it'll actually rewrite history where these characters were never lost.
Right. They're never lost, and they've always been there.
Yeah. So that could be what it does instead.
Yeah. But yeah, just the stuff with Wing and the Crimson Avenger, and that, you know, him being lost led to some weird stuff that happened with Crimson Avenger. if I remember my history right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm digging the many. I think this is just John's playing with his own corner of the DC universe right now and having fun with all these characters. So, you know, and we've had 3 issues of this versus only 1 of JSA, so I've got more of an opinion on this versus that right now. So, yeah. So cool. What are you giving Stargirl and the Lost Children issue 3?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Yeah, I'll agree with it. I had a good time. So, good stuff. All right, we have Monkey Prince issue 10. Jean Luen Yang writing with Bernard Chang on the art. Matt, you're on your own for this one.
Yeah, so it was billed as a Lazarus Planet tie-in, which kind of is, but not really, because it just continues Marcus's story, and then at the very end, it ties into some Lazarus Planet shenanigans. But in an earlier issue, I can't remember if it was in the Lazarus Planet. It was in the Lazarus Planet Alpha, in that Monkey Prince story. Shifu had sent a clone of himself, and he had told Marcus at a point that he'll learn how to do that. You know, the Monkey King could do that. And in this issue, we find out that Marcus is able to clone himself through his hair. And after a showdown, you know, him and Supergirl get shot by the Ultra Humanite, and he ends up getting cut in half, right? But we know that's a thing that Monkey Prince can do. She's horrified by it, and in a full bravado and not paying attention, Monkey Prince reassembles himself backwards. So his tail's in his front now, and his legs are facing backwards. But then Supergirl's able to stop Monkey Prince, stop Ultra Humanite. But as her and Monkey Prince are saving the day, this green rain starts coming down, and it starts making Monkey Prince itch. Kara loses her powers, and when she goes back to Metropolis, she ends up running into like his friends who are being changed by the Lazarus rain. Marcus starts to put together that Grandpa might be the Ultra Humanite, because when he gets back in there and tries to make up a story while he was gone, his dad is, telling him, he's like, oh, Grandpa will be right back. He looks over and sees his grandpa with it hooked into this machine, and it's like, oh, she'd have, Supergirl destroyed my other body, which makes Marcus start wondering things. Marcus ends up creating a tiny kind of, what's that called? Like the anime, it's like a mini anime thing. It's like a chibi, I think.
Chibi's the old kid drawing ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So his clone that comes out of his hair, because as he's scratching himself in the shower, a piece of hair pulls out and it makes a small chibi version of Monkey Prince, which starts to freak him out. His friend from Gotham calls. He tries to, I'm sorry I haven't talked to you. I've had a lot going on. And she's like, well, yeah, I can tell. I just wanted to make sure you're okay because what's going on in Metropolis. And that's where he sees one of his friends who's been transformed in like a thing about Medusa, but with more snakes as hair, or Medusa with the snakes as the hair, but with a snake face, right? It's one of his friends from class, just beating the piss out of Supergirl. He shows up, tries to flirt with her some more. She realizes that when she's not in the rain, her powers come back. So they start to make the connection that it's the Lazarus rain that's doing all this. And then to distract the snake-headed dude, he starts making more of these chibi clones of himself, where then he's able to get his stick from his ear and beat him. And then when him and Supergirl save the day, he takes her up above the rain on his floating cloud, so that she can get her powers back out of the rain. There's a piece of the rainwater that his grandpa, the Ultra Humanite's looking at, because he found out that the rain had fixed his gun that he was firing at Supergirl, that Supergirl and Monkey Prince had broken. So he wanted to get a sample of the rain. And when the rain lands on this piece of specimen, that he's working on, it regenerates. And this is where he goes, well, this is what I've been looking for. I can finally repair my Phantom Zone projector and then free the ancient monkey god from the Phantom Zone prison. And so this is Yang hinting at the reason that Monkey King is gone is that he had gotten trapped. He had turned evil and had, got put in the Phantom Zone. By who, I'm not sure, because I'm not big on the Monkey King. From whatever he's pulling from, I'm not big on that story. But so Monkey Prince and Supergirl go to the Hall of Justice, where he, this is where he gets recruited to start the Lazarus Planet stuff. So Cyborg, Blue Beetle, Mary Marvel, Blue Devil, Zatanna, and Power Girl. And that's where it ends. So kind of don't like that his, Marcus's story is being co-opted by Lazarus Planet, but I guess when Mark Waid wants to use Monkey Prince, kind of what happens. So, but we're getting towards the end here. I think this is 10 of 12. So, and the next part, I guess, is going to tie into Lazarus Planet fully. So, but yeah, no, it's a fine issue. I like that Yang keeps going back, and he wrote. Connor, did you read the Monkey Prince part of the story of Alpha?
No, that was after the main issue.
As a backup, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bother.
No, okay. So I do like that because Yang wrote that. I do like that he is at least trying to tie Monkey Prince into the Devil Nazah stuff through this, and now having the Monkey King be put away into the Phantom Zone, and that's where he's been because of that's because of whatever had happened after Darkseid had attacked their realm and whatever. And I like that it is going to have some answers to where Marcus exactly came from, because now the fact that in the last issue Ultra Humanite wanted to put Marcus's mom into a new body, but the dad won't let him. He wants him to fix her. Was Marcus created in a lab? And this is why, he's basically a clone of a clone. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I like that Yang's, working with Waid to finish telling the story, which is nice. But yeah, so I'll give this a 7.5.
Okay, cool. That'll take us on to Batgirls issue 14, which I did not mention earlier because I forgot to put it in the list. But I knew my numbers were adding up. I knew there was one more book I read.
Yes.
So you're not delighted to hear there's one extra book that was mentioned earlier. But yeah, so this is Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad writing with Jonathan Case on the story. Did you read this, Matt?
I did not.
No.
But I barely could finish the Lazarus Planet, which now I wish I would have had time to read this.
Yeah, well, you're going
to Lazarus Planet.
You're going to wish you had read this instead, because this is all silent Cass issue. Hey, that sounds good. So last issue, Cass and Steph reverted back to their own bodies, but Cass, when she was in Steph's body, knew she'd been kidnapped by Cluemaster and was out in this cabin. This issue is Cass sort of looking for a trail to get to that cabin, and it's all silent. The only text you ever read is that that cop that's kind of working with the Batgirls lets her see a police report of the Cluemaster's death, and she sort of slaps the file at him her way out. The art is gorgeous. I don't know who Jonathan Case is. I've never heard of him before from my memory. But the art is it's a lot of cast and silhouette with lots of just yellows and purples making up the colors behind her. Really, really nice stuff. Really into it. But Lady Shiva's also in here, and she ends up kind of helping Cass out without Cass realizing it at first. In fact, goes so far that we get this great big fight scene on a bridge where Cass is running down the top of a big suspension bridge, and she's running across the top of it and beating up these bad guys. And at one point, Lady Shiva legitimately cuts off a dude's legs. And Cass sort of looks up at Shiva, and Shiva just gives her a wave, and there's just kind of this angry face of Cass behind the art. It's really good stuff. But basically, she's trying to figure out where there's a clue to where these cabins were that Steph was taken, and she figures it out. And the end of the issue is her, she reads this note that Steph had left in case like she like dies, and it's like sort of Steph saying how much Cass means to her. So you sort of get to read that. This is the only text really in the whole issue is like reading this letter that Cass reads from Steph. But it's it's Cass going off to find Steph and save her. So it's kind of a sweet vibe because it's all about their friendship, but it's all done in the style of like a silent issue for Cass. And what's very sweet is that Cass actually rips off a bit of Steph's like costume, a bit of her purple fabric, and sort of puts it around her neck like a scarf, like over her costume, as a kind of like a sort of kind of a tribute kind of thing. And there's just like gorgeous art. Like I can't emphasize how nice this is. Is like Cass is arriving at these cabins, and it's the light of her motorbike just like lighting the way up. It's I wouldn't say it looks like Francavilla, but the color style reminds me a little bit of Francavilla, to give it a comparison point. But yeah, so at the end of the issue, she sort of looks in the window and sees Steph like tied to a chair with all these like wires stuck to her for taking readings, and that's the cliffhanger. It's a silent issue. There's not a word of dialogue. The only thing you really read the whole time is the letter that Steph left for her. So it was a very unique experience, and in a week where I had like so many books that were so long, this was like such a refreshing, like, oh, this is just a silent issue with nice art, and it's all impactful because it fits into who Cass is, and it's like the race to save Steph that she cares about. So this had heart, this had fantastic art. It's 9 out of 10. I would highly praise this as maybe the best issue of the book. And it could have done that thing where there was still that third party narration, but credit to them, they did not do it. If they basically made the choice, if we're going silent with no narration for the character, no dialogue, then our narration is not going to be there either, and just stuck to the gimmick or the premise, and I appreciate that. So no, very, very good. I liked it a lot. So GCPD, The Blue Wall, issue 4, John Ridley writing with Stefano Raffaele on the art. Connor, you've been reading this, right?
I have. Yeah, I had to read 2 issues today, but yes.
That's fine, but you're caught up and you've read this issue.
I am, yeah.
And this issue takes a bit of a dark turn by the end, which I did not see coming.
Oh man, that last couple of pages. Ooh.
Yeah. So obviously we had our 3 main characters. Well, there's 4, including Renee, but we know Renee. Montoya's like our sort of anchor character that we already know and care about. We've got these 3 rookie cops. One, Eric, who's leaving. He was a parole officer. And he has kind of an awkward moment with Ortega, who's the other one who shot the guy that he was like an officer for. They have like a quiet, awkward moment in the hallway, but otherwise he's not in too much of it. He talks to Park a few times at their sort of regular meeting, which notably, she talks to. No, he doesn't go. He's the one that's missing from that meeting.
He's the one that's absent because he's quit. Yeah.
So he doesn't even go to those meetings. He doesn't want to be around them. So there's kind of a sad air to this, and I feel really bad for Montoya because Montoya's story in this issue that. Like maybe she is being too doom and gloom. Maybe she can get over this. She chooses not to drink anymore. She tells the bartender.
Killed her goldfish, so they give her a dog.
Yeah, and she tells the bartender like if she ever comes in again, call my sister and tell her to call my sponsor or whatever.
Yeah, don't serve her.
Yeah, so she's making all these right choices. She's getting some hope back, and she's hoping for the best. But
there's a potential date coming up.
Yeah, she meets like another dog owner in the park, and maybe they hit it off a little bit. But it's all of this is, it's all about Ortega's story. Ortega's the main thrust of this issue, and he was the one who was being harassed with all the racist like comments from the other officers because he's Latino, and this issue because he shot someone, like he shot a perp at the end of the last issue. All of a sudden, like this one cop's really nice to him and says, we always give people shit when they first join, but you've kind of proven yourself now, and invites him to a get together. And Ortega
tells him to bring his family.
Tells him to bring his family, and he also says that part of it is that because Ortega had this therapy session, Ortega feels like maybe I am bonding with them now because now he sides with me over the therapist. The therapist is like, you need to have some time off. You need to work at a desk for a while, yeah. So that really sets up that mental state, and I had this really bad feeling, right? Because he's writing this journal throughout the issue that he keeps coming back to, and it sounds a little ominous. And when he takes his dad, who we know doesn't like that he's a cop, because his dad, has a very specific viewpoint of the police force. He takes his dad, and it's like, oh god, what's like, this is a prank or something. He's going to open the door to this place that he's invited to, and sure enough, there's no one there, but there's just a bunch of racist stuff. There's like sombreros, there's like a big sign saying Mexico this way, just shit like that. Just all over the place.
Bowls of like nachos, rice, beans.
Yeah, and the dad obviously is very angry, and basically accuses his son of being pathetic because he's going to crawl back to them, and he's not accepting that he's a victim here. He's not accepting that these people don't respect them, and all that stuff. And it's kind of interesting because there's a counterpoint during the issue where Park, on her new duties, that she's just like at crime scenes now, like just making sure people don't touch stuff. Like she's been given this sort of like crappy, not quite a desk job, but kind of
one step up,
yeah, low on the totem pole. And she has this conversation with Ortega about how little they care about it now, like how like they don't feel anything for these dead people, and how it's kind of bad that they're almost like the other officers are almost making them like hope for bad things to happen to bad people. And it's this dehumanization of where, no, you should hope for the best in people, you should try and help, improve people, that kind of thing. But the system's almost like making them want to like just because the other cop in the crime scene's like, sometimes like the streets take care of themselves, like if one gang member kills another, it's one less gang member for us to worry about. There's that kind of attitude throughout. But anyway, it's all building up to this gut punch at the end where Ortega's writing this journal and he's talking about doing something. And I think like the red herring of it is you're kind of expecting it to like maybe he's going to actually fight back in the system. Like maybe he's going to actually like stand up for himself and fight back against these people who are oppressing him and
yeah,
just treating them awfully. And instead he's taking drastic action in that he kills Montoya's like brother and like soon to be sister-in-law.
Mm-hmm. Just guns them down in the alley.
Just guns them down, and they're scared for a split second. And then the last page is him standing over their body, basically like, and the end of the journal is like, I'm going to ruin Montoya or something like that. And
it just says that, Montoya, I declare war on you.
There you go. And it's so hard hitting because I really didn't see it coming. Right, there was a bit of there's a bit of a feeling of like doom towards the end. It was effective, but I didn't necessarily think, he's going to go after her family members.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was going to go like take out on Montoya quite so personally. Like it felt like he's so, he talks, he's been crushed by the wall, the system of the police, and it's like no, he's twisted that into this is Montoya's system, so I'm going to take it out on her.
Yeah,
but, and this kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a really tragic issue that he's become this. Like this is what the system's forced him to, like his mental state. Like
in just a couple of months.
Yeah, and it's obviously you have these counterpoints where Eric's like, because Eric does have a scene where he's with Park, which is I think it was I was thinking about earlier. There's a scene where like they meet on like the steps, like outside their house or one of their places, and he's basically saying that he can't go to this because she's saying, we need you there, like like you're a friend or whatever, and he's saying he can't. He has to stay away from this system. He has to be away from it. So I think between the three characters, you're seeing the different like possible outcomes. You're seeing someone who just like realizes they have to be away from it to be healthy. Parks maybe, we don't really know yet what our outcome's going to be, but maybe she
seems to be just subjugated by the system. Like she's just she's just a cog in it now, right? She's a lower part, but she's just like accepted a place almost.
And then the extreme end is Ortega, which is like he has become like a monster because of like what he's been put through. And so this is not pulling punches, and I definitely did not see it going this way. This was a far more. This was kind of a left turn, and not in a bad way, but it was like a left turn where I was like, oh shit, this is where we're going with this now.
Yeah.
And it does a good job of like making you like, you've seen like these family members for Montoya in previous issues, but this issue does a really good job of her talking to them for advice multiple times. So they really feel like nice people. Like, so at the end of the issue, when they're just gunned down like this, you actually kind of get how much of a big deal it's going to be to Montoya that they're gone. It's not just Montoya hears at the end of the issue, your brother that we've never seen before has been killed. It's like, no, this issue made it clear that he was a character. that it's someone that cares about Montoya that she goes to talk to about her problems, and her soon-to-be sister-in-law. Really, really hard-hitting stuff, I thought, at the end of this.
Yeah, it was let's say it was out of nowhere, but not in a way that it just seems like it's complete there just for shock value. There is a logical leap from what it was doing with the characters to that it makes sense with the progression, but it was still shocking that it just happened, because it didn't feel like, as much as like you said, there was this underlying sense of doom with the journal entry that he's going to do something bad. I don't think this ever crossed anyone's mind as they were reading it.
I think part of it's because those two characters that he kills felt like they were like separate from all the cops. Like they felt like they were just part of Montoya's plot. They felt so separate and removed from any of the other characters that I don't think it ever occurred to me that they might ever even meet the other characters, because they felt, and that's just normal because they're part of Montoya's life. But here it was this shocking, oh no, they've been brought into it in the most tragic way possible. And I can't help but feel that, because Montoya, like, not only does she choose not to drink this episode, she chooses to lift the protective detail, or the surveillance on Two-Face. Like she chooses to make healthier decisions throughout this issue, and she is going to hit rock bottom again next issue. She's going to have everything pulled away from her, and the sad irony of it is that not so much Ortega specifically, but one of these rookie cops came to her for help, and she kind of like, well, I had to go through a lot of shit, so you're going to have to go through it too. And didn't try and like make things better for them.
Pretty much just, well, this is what it is, and she could have. Obviously, I think we spoke about this last time, but she could have done better. She could have been trying more, but she's not. She's not actively an awful person, clearly. But she is definitely not doing the most that she could be in her position, and he has taken this to an extreme level of, well, you should be, and this is a pretty shocking outcome for it to get to. But yeah, it's going to be I think this is 6 issues, right? This mini, it's going to be an interesting couple of issues to see how it delves into Renee's outcome to this.
And this is the sort of thing with Renee being the commissioner at Gotham, and obviously that's referenced in other books. Like, I have to imagine this might get referenced with Montoya and other books in the future. This feels like a bit, in the same way that people like to reference what happened to her with Two-Face in No Man's Land, this has to come up. Like, that her close family was gunned down like this.
Yeah, definitely. It's got to be. It's like a major moment in her history now, right? Like immediately.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, unless they retcon it, but I hope they don't, because it.
Like you said, the only way you can retcon it is by telling us they're not dead, but they also look pretty dead. Like,
yeah, they're lying there with bullet, like their eyes are wide open. There's bullet holes all over their chests. Like, they're dead.
Yeah, like if you hadn't seen that very last page, there's blood. You see the hand. You could sell it that they took some gunshots. They took a gunshot each, maybe, but they get rushed to hospital or whatever. You can buy it. I think after that last page, there's no going back from that. And I think I've not loved all of Ridley's work. I think this is probably the thing I've enjoyed most from him. But he has never seemed like the kind of writer to go back on his decisions to pull those fake outs.
Yeah, I think what this book tells me is that Ridley, I think I enjoy when it's leaning away from superhero stuff. Like, I think the stuff I liked about his Batman stuff, like when it became more of an ongoing Batman book, I started to not be as into it, and I think it was because of the superheroic side of it that I wasn't feeling. Whereas this, I think, when it becomes to, like, he's talking about these tough subject that he obviously cares about, deeply. He's trying to say something, and then you've just got like more of a character drama and thriller with these characters sort of going down these dark paths. I think this is like, certainly just from this example anyway. Like, I'm really digging this.
Yeah, I agree. It seems to be where his strengths lie. I suspect maybe he just doesn't find the actual superheroics, the action sequences, quite as interesting, which is fair.
It makes me wonder if we do get some sort of follow up to this. Maybe like just a Montoya mini or something that he'll do, or something that can naturally follow on to explore the outcomes of this. Maybe not. It may just be a one and done. But
yeah, we'll have to see kind of how it ends, right? It really depends where he leaves it.
But if they want to they'll give him kind of like a sort of mini Tom King treatment, where they keep just giving him nice minis that play to his strengths. Where, I don't know what examples.
I know I said in the first issue of this that this felt like a pseudo sequel to Gotham Central. I can definitely see this kind of being expanded on into another, more of this, following cops doing a Gotham Central thing.
Yeah.
Like whether that's an ongoing or just more minis. I can see I'm doing more of this for sure.
Yeah, I'd be all for it. Yeah.
I think you can even put him on a Batman book, but I think instead of the one he did, I think you have to give him Batman and do it as a detective story.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. All right, what are you giving the Blue Wall?
It's a 9. I probably would have said like an 8, an 8.5 before those last few pages, and then just the gut punch of it kind of bumped it up.
Because it did such a good job of making you like those two other characters, but not making it feel like they're in danger the whole time. So that really did hit hard.
It just felt like really natural people in the scenes they're in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll agree with the 9. Really good stuff. So that is the Blue Wall, which every month on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV you can make myself or Connor read a book. Connor's a little bit behind because he's been away for a month. So you've got 2 to do. First up, we're going to do Tim Drake Robin issue 4.
Yeah. It's Fitz Martin writing, and it's still my old favorite, Rosmo on art.
Your main man.
Yeah. His art this time, let's get out of the way. There's less stuff where it's like breaking out panels for the sake of it. There's still a few instances where it just feels really like it really ruins the flow, and I have to really think about where I'm reading it, and it just kind of feels like a mess. Also, I don't know, it feels like I don't remember feeling this on the other issues, but this time his art feels really soft, like it's less defined than usual. It's like the inks aren't as heavy as normal. He doesn't usually have particularly heavy inks. Like, I wouldn't say they're really not scratchy or anything like that. They're still quite clean lines. But it just feels really light. Like it's a first draft that it's not quite gone over yet, almost on some points, which was really kind of weird. I don't know if that was like a technical thing. It almost feels like it was like it's missing a layer of the final inks over the top that just didn't get submitted or something. I don't know, but it was a bit weird. But it's still Tim investigating what's going on with these classic detective stories kind of being recreated as crimes for him. His landlord kind of just barges in and says something and ends up helping him crack the code that it's a cipher and this message that he's got, and okay, so he can figure it out from there. And he's got a couple of names that he assumes the next victims, but he doesn't know. There's like a reasonable amount of these names that live in Gotham, and there's like 12 of one of them and like 6 of the other. So he's like, I can't cover them all. So he goes to the Batgirls. So he recruits Steph and Cass for a little bit. They go around, a little bit digging, and eventually they find out, okay, it's this one. They're too late, but there's another one of the animals that's been kind of brought to life with the white discs. The slight twist on this one, he's fighting. It's like he says it's a goldfish, but it appears more like a shark kind of size thing. The twist on this is, they can't find the disc. It's not anywhere on the animal to stop it. But the story is something in the story. It's based on the goldfish swallows the pearl. So he's like, the white thing is inside the fish. So you have this panel of him crawling through like the fish's intestines and stuff to get all through the guts to try and get to the thing. It's one of the few times that I can say that Rosmo's inventive paneling layouts has been justified. It's you basically have the fish being the page and Tim kind of crawling through it as it goes through the panels. And at the end of it, he's like, hey, he's like, okay, phone in Bernard because something's wrong, and it's not him that answers the phone. It's the villain, and he's like, what do you want? And the villain's like, I want to be the best villain Gotham's ever seen, with a killer name and a worthy opponent. he says he wants a killer name. He doesn't give him his name here, so I don't know what to call him. He's still just mysterious villain who's dressed in like this red jumpsuit kind of thing with some big white cuffs and collars and a white mask. Very, very, very long hair that I don't know if this is Rosmo taking creative license or if it's supposed to be this long, because like the hair's like on the floor long.
I mean, which character is it?
This new villain.
Okay, well,
yeah, it's a new creation. So I don't know. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be. I don't know if Rosmo's just kind of going over the top because that's what Rosmo does. I don't know if this is his equivalent of their chin. Instead of giving them a massive chin, he's just giving them loads of hair. But I don't know. Yeah, this arc is really. I'll say it's more coherent now than it was at the start, where I felt like I was missing loads. But it's really boring, unfortunately. It's supposed to be this detective thing, and it's based off all these classic detective novels, and it's recreating all these scenes. But maybe it works better if you've read all of these classic detective stories. I don't know. Maybe then it's a bit more fun because it's like, oh hey, look at all it's referencing these things. It's what was this one? I think the book is called Goldfish. But yeah, Goldfish by Raymond Chandler. And like I say, I'm not familiar with that story already. Maybe this is more fun if you are, and it's like all these little winks and nods to classic detective stories. But as it is, it kind of falls a bit flat for me. And that's even without the Rosmo. I think I'm just not digging Fitzmartin's writing all that much.
You do sound like you're in despair the entire time you talk about it.
Which is presumably exactly why I'm bloody doing it. But yeah, I don't think this is as bad as some of the previous issues. I think it's a very boring issue as well, though, which makes it even more difficult. But I don't think Rosmo. It's not Rosmo's worst work. It's not good. Let me clarify that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's not any worse than his stuff normally is, and I would say it's actively more restrained and therefore better than most of the issues he did on Harley Quinn. I think that's just by the nature of the book being Tim Drake versus a Harley book where I think he felt like he had more creative license to be a bit zanier and kind of go even wilder by his standards. But I still think this is a bad issue overall. Like, it's really bland. I don't know who's enjoying this, really. I'm not seeing anyone talk about it. I'm not seeing people are enjoying. Maybe they are. I'm just not seeing them because that absolutely could be happening.
Hey, the TikTok generation's loving it.
I would have no idea. But yeah, like I say, the thing is, that generation, I can't see them having all read all these classic detective stories. So I can't see them, getting all these little, look at all these, winks and nods to all this classic stuff that we've got here. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's just fallen really flat for me. But like I said, it's not the worst issue of the book that I've read. So I'll probably have to give it a 4.
Oh my. Well, you got our Patreon book, which is Undiscovered Country, issue 20.
Which is definitely much more interesting, at the very least. We're continuing the 2 plots. We've got the stuff that was seemingly in like the slight future, which I'll get back to, and the stuff that was in the past. It was in the American Revolution. And it was, Paul Revere, saying, the English are coming. That was where we were last time. And so we're in Zone History, and we get that they're actually, kind of actually there in the past. Zone History is this weird time travel zone where it's not just a recreation. It started off as these recreations, but it's not just that anymore. It actually is time travel.
I love that Matt was listening for a second there just to make sure that you've moved on to the next book. The progress has been made.
Yeah. And but he doesn't want to listen too closely to this because he still wants to read this at some point. But this, so they're kind of actually there. And they have Uncle Sam kind of explaining it to them that they're there, but they're kind of also in like a locked off section where it's like this time loop. So that's why, when they die, they just relive the same loop again. But they can do things differently. And the whole point of the history zone was to make these different tracks, like these different channels of history, like all these potential big turning points in American history, and kind of see what would have changed if how would things have played out if things had gone a little bit differently, and follow those down. And so there are, like, I think he says there's hundreds of these different tracks of, like, okay, where they are. And basically, the two groups that are split up are in two different streams. And the challenge for this place, because obviously there's always something they've got to do in each zone to get through, is essentially one group is the door and one group is the key, and all they have to do is find each other. And once they do that, they can kind of progress to the next zone. But they're not giving any real clues on how to find each other. I'll leave just their stuff, because their stuff is the very end, is the cliffhanger, because it ends with their stuff at the main part of the book ends with them being shot by Uncle Sam again, and they wake up somewhere else at the end. I'll get to that. But the other side of it is the other characters would seem to be kind of in the roughly present. They were in what seemed to be America. You had Destiny Man as President Graves, and they were at this parade. It turns out these characters in this, they're like 15 or 20 odd years in the future of their future, where they are now. And in this version of history, they have been arrested as criminals, and they're locked up. And so there's a lot of confusion as to how are they out here if they're still locked up in our cells. What's going on? Where the two of these characters kind of accidentally started World War IV, where they united. So the two main groups outside of America, going back to right at the start of the book, there was the two alliances that were kind of at odds with each other. But that's where all our characters come from various either side of those. Because they sent diplomats, these two characters are the diplomats from each of those respective things. In this version of reality, or maybe even this future, it's not clear as to whether or not this has got a separate past or is something they're still yet to do. They managed to convince their respective governments to team up and take out America for reasons, and it basically started World War IV. So that, it was a whole thing. And you've got Graves, President Graves is trying to hunt them down. They're on the run, and it turns out they're actually in Beijing in the future, because I'm guessing they lost World War IV, because there's an American empire now, essentially. I think they call it the American hegemony, and Beijing is the eastern capital, which is where they are now. So it'll be interesting to see in the next few issues of this arc how much of this is an actual future, how much is potential, how much could still happen based off of what decisions they could still make, or if it was stuff that is, how far back this history track went, and whether or not they've already missed the key points that would have made led to these decisions. But it ends up to really nicely parallel. They're talking about World War IV, this joint invasion of the US. Our other characters, after they've been shot by Uncle Sam, they wake up, and it is December 7th, 1941 in Pearl Harbor. So that's presumably going to be the next issue for them, is whether or not they even can change things in these tracks of history, whether or not they try to, whether or not they just try to escape, or if it really matters ultimately, because if they die, they just wake up again anyway. But will they be in the same loop as this? Will they just be living in, will they just be doing Pearl Harbor on repeat, or will they be, thrust into a different loop like they were with when Uncle Sam shot them at the end of that last one? I would guess they'd repeat this one because it seemed to be like they were just dying and repeating the previous loop as it was, and it wasn't until Uncle Sam actively did something to send them here that happened. But yeah, no, there's the first issue of this arc was a little bit very much set up. It felt like it didn't really know what it was doing. This is still very much in that part where it's setting up what the arc is, but I feel like it's got a much firmer grasp on it now. Okay, we understand this zone. We're starting to figure out some of the rules. We've got an actual objective for the characters to do. They've got to meet back up and then to get out of the zone. So they've got a goal now to head towards. So it's got some direction now, and I feel like it really needed that after the first issue. I think this is a much better issue than the first one. Yeah, it's like a 7.5.
All right. Well, for a while since we went this neatly over 3 hours, so
I was already getting complaints that I've been up here too long, so we gotta wrap this up. Well, I got chores to do.
We got one last bit of business, and that is the part of the show we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and top 5 books of the week. And given that we had almost double that for most of us, it's actually a bit competitive for a change. So, Connor, panel / moment of the week.
It's really tempting and easy to pick something from Nightwing. But I think I'm actually going to go with the very final page of Blue Wall, just because of the shock value and the impact that it had. And I think I was expecting it less than anything I was in Nightwing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Matt?
I'm going to go with from Shazam, where Mary Marvel at the end, she's lifting the stuff up, and she is now Shazam, where Darla's like, yo, no, call her Shazam. That's a good moment.
Yeah, I think I'll do the obvious one. I'll do the emotional Batman and Nightwing talk in Nightwing. Easy pickings. But there was, like the fact that there's other possible moments to pick this week is a good, is an eventful week, I suppose. All right, cover of the week. I mean, obviously Nightwing's got a couple of good covers. There's a really good Liam Sharp variant for One Bad Day with Bane, which I think that was quite good. I like the main cover for Flash, but I think I'll go with the variant cover for Flash, which is the one with the white background. It's the Daniel Bayliss variant. It's just sort of Flash and sort of the starting of a running line position. As if he's about to race.
It's a pretty common style of Flash variant.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's just really clean. Yeah. It's really neat. It stuck out to me the most. Like, there's a lot of Nightwing covers that are kind of great, but at the same time, like, I feel like that they're maybe mostly a bit too busy. Some of the ones that otherwise look really good. So, Matt, what's yours?
Mine is from New Champion Shazam. It's the Tila Lote cover.
I am not surprised. The one.
Yep.
Connor?
Yeah, that was going to be mine as well. I'll give a shout out though to the regular World's Finest cover because Dan Mora.
Yeah, it's real good.
That was very nice. All right, best art of the week, Matt. You can go first.
This one's kind of tough because I really like World's Finest, but I also really like Shazam. But given the rest of my choices, I'm gonna give it to Dan Mora for World's Finest.
Okay, Connor.
Yeah, it's one of those rare times that Nightwing's not even in contention for it because it was a bit too messy. I'm also going to go with World's Finest because Dan Mora.
Okay. I will... I'm even tempted to go Batgirls, but I actually think I'm going to go with Shazam. I think I will eke it out to Shazam this week. All right, top 5 books. Matt, go.
All right, 1 is going to be Shazam. 2 is going to be World's Finest. 3 is Nightwing. 4 is Stargirl. And 5 is The Flash.
All right, Connor?
So Blue Wall at number 1. Then Nightwing. Then Shazam. Then World's Finest. And One Bad Day. One Bad Day. That was the next one.
Okay.
That's like what I'm missing.
All right. So I'm not actually going to follow my ratings here exactly because I'm putting Nightwing at number 1, despite the fact that I didn't rate it first or even second highest. It's just the highs are too high and too emotional to not have it at number 1. So Nightwing's number 1 for me. Number 2 is The Blue Wall. Number 3 is Shazam. Number 4 is oh god, there's too many books to pick from this week. I'll go Batgirls at number 4, and then number 5 I'll go with, honestly there's like 3 books that are all kind of similar in a good way, but I will go with Flash at number 5. So there you go. That is our favorites. I will now tell you what is coming next week from DC Comics. We have Detective Comics 1068, Action Comics 1051, which is notably the start of the new era with the backups and all that. So be prepared. Batman One Bad Day Catwoman issue 1. So another one of those next week. Yeah,
because that was delayed from December.
That makes sense. Yeah. And it has been a little while since the last one, so that's why it's been a wait and then 2 of them. So close.
I assume it's just because McKelvey, he has a lot of injury problems with his wrists, so I think that he tends to be a little bit slower. So we also have Catwoman issue 51, The Human Target issue 11. It's not even been that long since the last issue of that. I feel that previous issue
that was like
delayed.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Do you know what this must be? It must be some weird issues with Christmas. This must be like some Christmas. They've moved some things around, so we're getting a few things back to back. Harley Quinn 26, Justice Society of America issue 2, Tim Drake Robin issue 5, Connor's favorite, Lazarus Planet We Once Were Gods issue 1, Punchline The Gotham Game issue 4, Horror Presents Sergeant Rock vs Army of the Dead issue 5, Gotham Knights Gilded City issue 4, Blue Beetle Graduation Day issue 3, and Sandman Universe Dead Boy Detectives issue 2.
Did either of you read the first issue of that?
No. So, not quite as busy as this week, but still a healthy week. No. Certainly, you got the One Bad Day issue, you got Detective Action, Human Target, GSA, the Lazarus Planet issue. So, some interesting stuff there to dig into next week. So, very good. So, by all means, let us know what you thought of this week's books in the comments or on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast or on the Discord. All these places are good to get in touch. And of course, I will thank our Patreon producers, which are some of our higher tiered patrons for the month. So thank you to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Sharp, Borna, Christopher Moy, David Brown, and Al Tradesman. And of course, you can support us over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. For any amount really, but the $5 tier you get early access to the show late in the Saturday whenever it's out the oven, which is a bit later typically when it's a 3.5 hour long episode like this one, because it takes longer to go out. But you go get that over there, and just help support the show and keep it coming in general. Of course, check out other content that is made as part of the Mail Fuzz TV and Mail Fuzz Movies umbrella. There's a horror movie podcast, Screams After Midnight, a sci-fi movie podcast, The Atomic Cinema Experiment. There's a podcast where we go through franchises called The Collector's Cut now. And of course, Mail Fuzz TV on YouTube has the TV episode reviews and things like that. So, But that is us. That is the show. Thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.